You know, the line between a fun high and a you done high is very thin, and that shit is no joke. Sometimes all it takes is just one extra puff. And that's when I finally realized that dude was not talking about no Coca-Cola to drink. Wait, but I did buy this weed from him. I wonder if... No, wait, it can't be. Everybody stop right now! I think we're all smoking crack! Hey, yo, see, you got any more of that weed you gave me yesterday? Oh, it's really good shit. Yeah, I really liked it. Hey, yo, I see you have some. Hey, yo, give me, I'll give you anything. I'll fucking suck your dick. And that's exactly why you can never trust a plug who also sells that Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying. But your weed being laced with a substance that'll change the chemistry of your brain and make the pursuit of your dreams and happiness into the pursuit of concentrated 1900s Coca-Cola and ruin your life forever is the least of your worries when you smoke up with a bunch of sad boys. Now, don't get me wrong, mental health is very important and you should never keep everything inside because your loved ones want to help you. But bro, ever since Juice WRLD dropped Lucid Dreams, motherfuckers will find any reason to be depressed. I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you. Yo, what's going on with you, bro? Like, you've been acting really sad as of late. You wouldn't understand. I'm depressed. There's just no point to anything. Wait, but you weren't depressed 2 days ago. Oh, you're on a sad boy phase. Sad boy? No! Oh, fuck, I guess I am. Yeah, bro, how about we go to Salamander's place, get obliterated, and play some Super Smash Bros. Instead of whatever the fuck you're doing here? Yeah, what am I doing here? Yeah, let's just get out of here.
1 hour later.
So, Ricky, you still sad? Nah, I'm having a blast. Wait, but you were saying something about, like, someone's shadows you were still seeing in your room? I don't want to talk about that. And that's the story of how we were able to stop Ricky from becoming a full-time sad boy, just in the nick of time. But besides almost losing a friend to the song Sad! There have been 2 extremely scary highs I have gone through. One was instigated by the popo, man, fuck the police! And the other was from the fear of losing my life. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in high school and I've smoked maybe 3 or 4 times ever, but the last time I did was months ago, so my tolerance was damn near at the level of smelling some grass and getting faded. Anyway, so I had a couple friends who have been asking me relentlessly to get some and get faded because they didn't know any plugs and really wanted to try it. So one weekend I decided to finally fulfill their request and hit up my homie Salamander and acquired the exotic. The weekend came and we found ourselves in my dorm room rolling a J, which, well, I had to roll it and it took me a while because my stats were low AF. Basically, I was out there trying to pick an expert level lock with 0 points in perception, dog. After going through 20 papers, the abomination was ready though, so we went deep into the local park and sparked it. Barely, because that shit had almost 0 airflow. I had to relight the damn thing after every puff. Yet that was definitely not even close to the worst part, because these motherfuckers who were begging me to get the Zon in the first place were scared shitless to get high, so I ended up smoking like 80% of the J myself, leaving me absolutely zoinked in a group where nobody else wasn't. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty betrayed, and also a bit scared, because if you've ever been obliterated in a group where no one else is, you know that you feel kind of like an alien abandoned by your comrades in a hostile planet, and that feeling was amplified by the fact that these friends of mine were kind of dickheads. Because after puffing down the J, we went to the local gas station to get some munchies, and of course I was fiending for some trans fat, so I asked them if they could go in there and bring me the stuff I wanted, and I'd of course pay them back. Pretty reasonable and easy, right? Being that I was the only one who was blasted and scared of getting caught. I guess fucking not, because these pussios who didn't even inhale the fucking weed told me that they wouldn't bring me anything if I didn't come in, which, I mean, these days I wouldn't mind, but I was like 17 and it was a Friday night, the prime time for cop patrol, so I had no choice and went in there tweaking out of my mind like... Oh fuck, this place is full. Shit. Wait, it feels like they're all staring at me. No, I think I'm just high. Okay, let's just get out of here. I'm not gonna order anything. Okay, fine. Go to the corner. Hey, yo, bro, I'm gonna just take some chips and candy, okay? And can you give me the car keys so I can just wait it out in the car while you guys wait for your food? Yeah? No. What? Why? I'm not even gonna turn it on, bro.
Cuz, bro, I got an announcement to make.
This motherfucker, oh yeah. Bro, shut the fuck up. That ain't funny. Unbake this fall, you pussy.
Okay, but yeah, you're not getting the keys.
So basically, these scumbags just decided to torture me, and because I had to wait for their food anyway, I went to order some too, and as I was doing so, 3 girls from my school approached me at the counter and were like, yeah, I'll have a dog. Hey, see, haven't you guys smoked some weed, yeah? Well, no, I'll have the dumplings, yeah. But yeah, we definitely didn't. We're all super duper sober bober. Yeah, you did. Dwayne said so. You got some left? You can come to our place if you have some. We really want to get faded too. And in that moment, I had to pause and rethink my whole life because I did not in fact have any left because I wasted it all on my rinky-dinky sausage party bum fun enjoying friends. Which if I would have had some left, I could have gone to these girls' crib and smoked up with free hot chicks. But no, I donated all the weed to Dumber, and me, the dumbest. And after that realization of alliances, I changed the famous saying, bros before hoes, to bros who aren't hoes before bros. And I live by that to this day. But the scariest part was yet to come, because as I was waiting for my food posted up at the ice cream station, a cop walked in. And that just set my tweak meter to a whole new level. I felt my heart rate spike to like 200 and I was shaking, just begging God for him not to walk towards me. But he fucking did. I avoided eye contact at all costs, but it seemed he had his eyes set on me. He got closer and closer until he was standing right in front of me. Fuck, why is he here? He knows I'm faded, doesn't he? Oh shit, I'm fucked. I'm going to juvie. This is over. Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking die. Yes, officer? Could you move out of the way, please? I want some ice cream. Yeah, of course. My bad. Thanks.
Nothing better than some good old Ben and Jerry's to complement a sour diesel joint. Shit, fucking fire.
Okay, the last part maybe didn't happen, okay? Anyway, the buildup, the weed, the cop, everything combined gave me some of the worst anxiety I've ever had. But the relief when he just wanted some ice cream was equally amazing. I had gotten away from this horrid situation, and once we got our food, we went to a hangout spot where I got really cold and tweaked again. Overall, I'd rate the high a 7 out of 10 just because it was eventful and I got a nice adrenaline dump, but it would have been a damn 9.5 if your boy could have gone to the girls' crib and got faded with some hot females instead of my pussy friends, goddamn. Although this high was quite stressful, it did have its highlights. The first day back at school, a day I used to hate. I mean, can you blame me? Cause as a student, summer is the only significant amount of time you are granted to enjoy your young life, and the rest, well, back to the academic 9 to 5. But to make the clown show that is the first day back at school a bit more fun and exciting, me, Salamander, and Ricky conjured up a devious plot to add a little bit of spice into the mix. It all started on the night before the first day. We were all at Salamander's place just chilling, playing Xbox, eating Doritos, and smacking the Penjamin, of course. When the conversation sailed to the topic of going back to school, it was the usual, man, I don't wanna go back to school. Yeah, bro, same. Until Salamander, the troubled child he was, or is, I don't know, said,
hey guys, you know what we should do tomorrow before the opening ceremony?
No.
We should totally spark a J.
Nah, man, you know I don't like getting faded in school. That shit is so stressful.
Nah, hear me out. This ain't school. It's the first day ceremony where they sing, read poems, and I don't know, maybe someone will do a flip or something too. So, wouldn't it be more fun if during all that we were faded?
He's got a point. Okay, but just a little. You better not bring some abomination of a spliff like last time.
Shit, you know me, I wouldn't do that.
We decided to smoke up just a little bit before the first day. A little bit was what we agreed upon. So obviously, Salamander, being the trustworthy homie he is, would never peer pressure nor instigate a friend into smoking more than he wants. So obviously, he only rolled a small split.
Okay, so here's the J.
Bruh. This mofo heard my request of a small J to get only a bit suited and decided,
okay, small, microdosed, small J, medium. Nah, fuck it, fat.
But anyway, here we are, on the park bench outside the school premises at 8:30 a.m. during wake and bake hours. And well, because me and Ricky are men of integrity and honor and would never waste Frieza, we fell to the bamboozlement of Salamander yet again and smoked the whole thing. Whereas right after, we were running a bit late, so the three of us Soink Musketeers stood up and started walking intensely to school. But honestly and thankfully, I wasn't very paranoid, unlike most of the times I got high at school, because, well, it was the first day and we didn't really have any classes except for only one introductory welcome back type thing that was supposed to last only 45 minutes, so not a big deal. Once we arrived at the auditorium, we were shell-shocked to find out the speech was already going on, and because we were looking like a couple medium rare filet mignons, we didn't really want to go in, cause we knew when we opened that door, everybody would stop and stare at us, cause that's just how it always is when you arrive to class late. And although Salamander was telling us, nah guys, don't be pussios, let's just go, we ended up sitting out the first part until lunchtime, cause we were pretty sure we wouldn't get in trouble if we just said we missed our bus or something. 30 minutes went by and lunchtime came, and because we were camped out at the cafeteria, we were the first to get their welcome back to school lunch. And what was that wonderful, significant, mouth-watering dish, you might ask? Well, it was nothing but Munchie's heaven. We were served some beans, a boiled egg, and some turkey meat or something. Oh, and I can't forget the 1% milk that tastes like it was mixed with water. Fantastic. But even though the food should have been pretty dog poop, it was actually pretty aight. I mean, it wasn't no Big Mac and McNuggets, but because we were high, it was edible. No. I would even go as far and say it was pretty good. After eating our gulag food faster than everybody else, we were the first back in the auditorium, and because of that, we got the best seats in the house, at the far back corner where no one could see us. And although we had missed the only important part of the day, that being the introductory speech by the principal, we did have a jolly old time listening to the honor students' inspirational poems and songs about life by giggling and chuckling in the back like math. Hey yo, chemistry. And with that, the first day had come to an end, and we went back home and played Xbox High. Dabs, the world's strongest saw, or so I have been told. In reality, dabs can't really be considered the world's strongest saw, because it's technically not weed anymore. It's the extract of it. And although there are natural and unnatural ways to extract that THC, the end result is always the same: super potent, sticky, icky wax. You see, wax is like the express lane of cannabis. If the express lane was designed to launch you into a height so intense, you'll wonder if you just got teleported. It's a concentrated form of cannabis where all the THC and terpenes have been extracted from the plant into a sticky wax-like substance. Think of it as the espresso shot of weed. It's quick, potent, and designed to get you where you're going fast. Wax generally contains anywhere from 60 to 90% THC. That's right, you're basically inhaling a THC rocket launcher. A little dab, literally a small dot of wax, is enough to send you to the moon and back in no time, which, let's be honest, might be exactly what you're looking for, but anyway. The extraction process typically involves solvents like butane or CO2, which separate the THC from the plant material. The result is a gooey concentrate that can resemble something between honey and a gummy bear's worst nightmare. And if you think it looks a little sus, that's because it probably should. Just make sure you know what you're doing with the dab rig, or you might end up with an accidental science experiment that doesn't go quite as planned. Now, you might be wondering, CBD bro, what's the difference between like strong bud and dabs, eh? What's up with that? Glad you asked, my little munchkin. Bud typically contains around 15 to 25% THC, depending on the strain and how good your dealer is. This means it's still potent, but you won't be crossing into a parallel universe with a single puff. You get a slower, more gradual high that builds up over time, kind of like gently being rocked into a nice little nap. Unlike wax, which is concentrated and intense, Bud is the slower burner of the weed world. Sure, you'll still get high, but it's more of a let's hang out and take our time with this situation. Like sipping on a glass of wine versus chugging a bottle of tequila. You'll get the same effect, but one will probably leave you with fewer regrets. To put it simply, wax is like the hardcore version of cannabis, while bud is like the I'm just here to enjoy myself version. Both will get you high, but one will probably make you rethink your life just a little bit. So what made me want to try dabs in the first place? Well, you see, as the modern day Columbus, I like to view myself as a discoverer, and having tried every type of grass besides wax, it kind of bugged me that I didn't have any knowledge of the latter. And so, for science, my own personal curiosity, and educational purposes, I decided to test it out so I can stand here and tell you not to try it. Here is my experience with the dabs. Let me set the scene for you. I have been in Florida smoking up every day on that not CBD Zaza legal nationwide, baby. Don't get high off your own supply, they say. But since the supply was in a warehouse, I thought it didn't apply. Problem was, with 24/7 online access to premium bud, I got my tolerance up to levels I honestly didn't think was possible for me. But Florida is not the place this story takes place. It was just a prologue. After building up a Dracula castle-sized fort of tolerance in my body for 2 months, I flew my badonkadonk to Denver, Colorado, where ZA is legal on the state level. And I don't know if I just got lucky 3 times in a row or Denver has more dispensaries than grocery stores, but for some reason every hotel I stayed at had a right outside the door like it was part of their compound or some shit. Anyway, once I arrived in my first hotel, I had no real plans of going to Dabbington City. In fact, I assumed because Colorado is like the capital of ZA, I could achieve the fate I was chasing by just buying some premium bud. But alas, turns out the not CBD grass I had been puffing prior was on the same level as the stuff in the dispensaries, and due to the insane tolerance I had built up, it wasn't really getting me where I was trying to go. However, because I had bought a whole ounce thinking it would be more potent, I was kinda stuck smoking a shitload of it for a while. It wasn't until I went to my next hotel when I finally ran out and was in the market for some exotic again. But this time I knew flour wasn't going to be enough. If I was going to end my multi-month US trip with a bang, I needed something that would face my insane tolerance and overcome it. Push me back into Yodi land one last time. So I went to this and explained my situation to the clerk. Hello sir, what can I get for you today? Yeah, so I'm looking for something strong. Well, in that case, I guess I recommend edibles, maybe some moon rock or dabs. What do you like? I've never done dabs before, but I have heard that they're very potent, so I guess I'll go with them. Fabulous choice, sir. I have 3 types here. The cheap stuff, the good stuff, and the insane stuff. It was at this moment that I sealed my fate. My overconfidence consumed me, and I answered, "Give me that insane shit, bruh." 92% THC is the wax I received, and to all you ZA experts who are already typing, "THC% doesn't mean anything. Has this guy ever even smoked before? LOL. I live in my basement alone, and all I smoke is that exotic." Nah, for real, bro. Last video some dude said what matters most is the plant's DNA and its heritage. Like your average smoker is gonna walk into the on some, excuse me, could you tell me about the DNA compensation of this ZA? Yeah, I don't know, bro. It says OG. Of course I see that, but tell me about the history of this particular plant. Were its ancestors also original gangster? Look, man, I get $14 an hour here. I don't freaking know. I've smoked it before. It's pretty good. Anyway, now that I got my premium dabs, I needed a way to smoke it. But because I knew doing dabs is not as easy as just, say, ripping a BONG, I decided to do a bit of research before buying any equipment. So I went to the closest Starbucks, sat down, and...
This is what you're gonna need. A cap, a nail, terp spinner, which is optional, a rig, Q-tips, a torch, a timer, dab tool, and a set of lungs.
Well, that's ridiculous. I knew it wasn't simple, but what the fuck is the main thought that went through my brain. I had no idea you needed a whole damn chemistry kit to take a dab, but I had already committed. I mean, that premium wax wasn't cheap, and I was determined to finish what I had started. So I went to the closest smoke shop like, "Hello there, can I help you with anything?" Yeah, so, I need a cap, a nail, a spinner, a rig, Q-tips, alcohol, a torch, a timer, and finally, a dab tool. Do you have all of that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can find all that stuff around here somewhere, but you could just buy this electronic pen. Probably be a bit easier. Oh, well, sure, but does it include, a cap, a nail, a terp? No, but, like, you can do a dab with it. Oh, fantastic. I'll take. As it turns out, all you really need to take a dab is a e-pen, but I'm sure I'll be lecturing in the comments about how that's not the same and how I've never even been high before. Anyway, I was now almost ready to enter into Dabbington City. But it was not gonna be easy, as I was staying at a no-smoke hotel. So I grabbed all my stuff, walked like 10 feet from the hotel, loaded my dab, and... Oh, it's not on. So I put it on the high setting, waited a couple seconds, and prepared to smack it again. I was done. Finished, bamboozled. No words can describe how absolutely grade A I was. I knew from the moment I exhaled that I needed to get to my room as fast as possible because this high instantly reminded me of when I first blinkered a Penjamin, only even more intense. I felt like my eyes had caved into my brain, making me more third person than first. Also, I could detect every organ in my body individually, and the sound of my heartbeats were constantly playing like some background music. I don't even know if I finished the whole dab, but I just knew I had to skedaddle before I... Wait, is it a bit cold? No. No. You see, I have this weird, awful debuff I only get sometimes when I'm like really hot. And this is the misperception of being extremely cold. It's like this weird trigger I have when I get too faded, and because I have experienced it so many times, it's like this unholy, intrusive thought that I just can't avoid. You can imagine my situation was not ideal. I was tweaking harder than I probably ever have before, and I just started slowly walking back to my hotel trying to think of anything besides my bodily functions. I made it back inside, still shivering from my mental debuff, and walked to the elevator as fast as I could, where I had an awkward encounter with a fellow guest. I'm a twerp in the corner, Is it really that cold outside? No, it's pretty warm actually. Oh. Okay. That dude must have thought he just talked to a local crackhead. But anyway, the instant I got back to my room, I snuggled into my bed to warm up and hopefully stop tweaking, which eventually I did, but I was still scared to leave the comfort on my warm sheets, so I just kind of watched fun YouTube videos until I came down a bit. After about 30 minutes, I stopped geeking and instantly ordered some food, but not just any food. I ordered a large Baconator combo from Wendy's like a true American. And I know I say this every high story, but this time I can't emphasize it enough. That shit was bussin'. Combine my already empty stomach with the wax high, then throw in bacon, cheese, and lettuce. Yeah, I added lettuce to my burger. Why? Because fitness isn't a choice. It's a lifestyle. So, sorry to disappoint you guys, but really that's about all that happened. The high was very similar to my first Penjamin. Tweak it first, vibe later. Will I be doing dabs again? Probably not, because they're pretty expensive and build up your tolerance super fast. Did I enjoy my time in Dabbington City? Well, besides the first 30 minutes where my brain got Doctor Stranged into Antarctica, it was fun, although it did make me very stupid. As I remember trying to connect my PS5 to my TV, and for like 15 minutes, I was trying to figure out why it wasn't showing up on my screen until I realized, oh, I'm missing the HDMI cable. Dumbass. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you? Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me. But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after when mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded. Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass to get you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran, that's when you really might be like, okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit. Since cannabis, for one reason or another, proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans who preferred getting hammered instead. Which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18, you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want a blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now, let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles. Disclaimer, that was a joke. Islam. Here the Za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date, there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US, via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what likely sparked a comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say, "It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too."
Anyway, although the grass
grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican weed plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the Za even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE. I think a lot of you guys can relate when I say I f***ing hate nicotine. No, I mean I love it, but I actually really hate it. And if you watch my Types of Nicotine Addicts video, you know that I consider myself a seasonal addict, so pretty much I might be nic-free for a whole 3 months or something, but then fall back into the trap like, life is so stressful right now, I swear, I got so many problems and worries, I wish I could just somehow relieve some of this stress. Preferably in blueberry flavor. And then I have to start fighting my own damn brain cause it just starts telling me reasons why I deserve that blueberry stick. You haven't vaped for months. Just buy one, come on. You had a rough day. You deserve it. You have a long day ahead of you. It would be much easier with a little bit of cancerous chemicals. Like no. F*** you, brain. I shall not fall under your illusions again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But fool me. Well, shit. And I don't even know why. Like, whenever I have something I need to do that I don't really feel like doing at the time, my brain automatically gives me the signal to go buy some Nick. Like, why? It doesn't actually make the task easier. Shit, all it actually does is make it harder, cause you get all lightheaded and dizzy. Every time I get a week or more off the stuff, I feel great and am as productive as ever, but for some reason, my mind still believes if I just had some nicotine, I would be even more productive. It's kinda the same with grass though, cause I always feel like I'm getting shit done when I'm high, but in reality, I'm working at like 30% capacity, but it just feels like I'm working at 200, cause the Za makes everything feel so significant, even just doing a small amount of work feels like you just finished studying for them Harvard entrance exams, fool. Anyway, back to nicotine and how I got accidentally addicted to it again. So basically what had happened was I was just doing what I normally do, you know, making videos and shit, when suddenly I was invited to a barbecue. And you know, me being the CBD bro I am, I ain't really wanna go cause I had shit to do, plus you know, everybody was drinking there and I was just trying to smoke that grass. But reluctantly, I accepted, and not to my surprise, everybody there was consuming that nic one way or the other. And well, long story short, I cracked and took a nicotine pouch from one of the people there. Well, by the end I took like 7 or 8, but that doesn't matter. And my dumbass thought, well okay, just one day. But then the next day I went out with some friends, and by the gods, 2 of them were also carrying nicotine pouches, so obviously I did some more. And then the same thing happened the day after that, and by the end of it all, I just went ahead and bought a fucking Elf bar. Cause I guess all it takes to go from months clean to Elf bar in your pocket sucking on a colorful stick when stressed, unable to control your urges hobgoblin is 2 days of stuffing your gums with nicotine pouches. Thankfully, I didn't let myself go too far, cause after that Elf bar, I didn't buy any more, but instead placed myself in specific social situations where I was able to receive free nicotine pouches from others. And that's what I'm on at the time of this video as well. So basically, I don't have my own vape or whatnot, but every time I go somewhere where someone does, you better believe I'm asking for a quick hit. But don't worry, I try not to be too much of a goblin, so usually I cash app like $2 to the dude I'm borrowing the vape from. It's kinda hard though trying to explain to people like, yeah, I don't vape. Only when someone else has a vape, then I vape quite a bit. But hey, that's what's helped me quit nicotine like 5 times by now, although I always end up coming back to it after a couple months. Nonetheless, it helps because in order to get my nicotine kick, I have to go out and socialize, which can be quite hard if you also want to be faded and watch Star Wars Fury at home. So a lot of times, I just don't go, and therefore don't vape. It's only when my nicotine addiction outweighs my desire to be high at home when I go out and vape. And because I'd rather watch Disney Plus and munch on some Doritos than just sit somewhere and suck on a nicotine stick, I've been able to control my nicotine addiction quite well, I think. Nicotine, the only highly addictive substance besides alcohol and caffeine that the world government is cool with. And although nowadays we know smoking/vaping literally kills you, we still let it slide because, well, money. But nicotine addiction isn't as obvious as, I don't know, crack addiction for example. So how exactly do you determine if you have a problem? And if so, how serious should you take it? Well, the easiest way to tell if you're addicted is obviously if you own your own vape, or just the nicotine is in your everyday routine, meaning you wake up, eat breakfast, vape, go to work, vape, drive home, vape. But if you fall into this category, you probably already know you're addicted, but el nicotino doesn't always make it so obvious. From my experience, I've found that it low-key has a mind of its own, and when it enters your system, it instantly starts rizzing up your brain, firstly giving you the buzz, and after that, it'll curl up all close to you and 15 minutes later whisper, "Hey, that buzz was pretty nice, right? You should buy a vape." And depending on your mental fortitude, you either do what it says instantly or you fight it. But the more you consume Nick, the stronger and smarter that little voice will get. Cause it'll start analyzing your brain and giving you suggestions based on where you last got that buzz. So if you go to a party and at that party do some vaping, next time when you're invited, the little voice will tell you, "Ooh, a party. That's the place where we get to vape without feeling bad about it. Cause I mean, everybody's doing it anyway." And from there, you'll become what I call a social vapor, which is someone who only does it at gatherings, parties, get-togethers, etc. by just asking for others to pass their vape. But being a social vapor doesn't mean you're addicted, unless you find yourself going to these gatherings for the sole purpose of getting that sweet, sweet buzz. We've determined that being a social vapor doesn't instantly make you addicted, so what does then? Well, probably when you get to the point where instead of hoping that someone has a Nick stick in the group, you don't risk it and buy your own to take with you. This might seem innocent enough at first, but ask anybody who is a Nick fiend and they'll tell you that you start being addicted when you buy your own vape, even if it is just for that one night out. Yet most people don't realize this at first, because as I said before, nicotine is one smooth-ass criminal. It is a master of deceiving its victims with lies like, "You're not addicted, it's just one vape. You're not addicted. Look at Johnny, he's puffing an Elf bar 24/7. Now that's addicted." Worst part is, most dudes only realize they're being deceived when it's too late. Well, not too late, it's never too late to quit, but when you're on that physical addiction pack, it's gonna be way harder compared to if you're only mentally addicted. And if you don't know the difference between mental and physical addiction, then don't worry, it's quite simple. Physical addiction is when your body starts dysfunctioning due to the absence of the substance substance, aka nicotine, it's used to getting daily, which basically means headaches, vomiting, dizziness, depression, lack of motivation, trouble focusing, etc. Mental addiction is what most people have. It's just your brain telling you to go get some nicotine in your system for whatever reason it comes up with. For me, it usually has to do something with, you had a hard day, I think you deserve a break. With a vape. Or, oh boy, we got a long day ahead of us. I think some nicotine would really help us through it, don't you think? And you wanna know the worst part? It actually scientifically does make working and concentrating easier. Yeah, here I am talking so much shit about vaping, yet nicotine itself is not actually bad. It's how we get it in our system that's harmful for us. There's been a bunch of studies showing that nicotine helps with accuracy, maintaining attention, fine motor skills, and short-term memory, but only when you have it in your system. Basically meaning nicotine is a lot like caffeine, the only difference being you can drink a cup of coffee made with natural beans and reap the benefits for a while. But with nicotine, you either have to inhale Chinese sweatshop chemicals, stuff nickel pouches under your gums, or smoke a cig, which is like insta-cancer. Well, all of them give cancer, but cigs are the most lethal. That being said, nicotine is still a highly addictive substance, and when you start incorporating it into your daily routine, it's gonna become a necessity very quickly. And although caffeine is similar in nature, getting addicted to it isn't as fast of a process. Also, unlike nicotine, which for 99.99% of people is an unhealthy habit, drinking 1 to 3 cups of coffee a day is linked to a lower likelihood of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, liver and endometrial cancers, Parkinson's disease, and depression. So if you're consuming it in moderation, it can actually be beneficial. Anyway, we've determined that nicotine is a sly fox, understood the differences between physical and mental addiction, but also learned that nicotine itself isn't actually bad. Rather, it's the way we consume it and its addictive nature that's not very good. That being said, if you're getting buzzed from a device you yourself bought, then I think it's safe to say you're addicted to some regard. But now a new question arises. How addicted are you? And I think to answer that, we're gonna have to bust out the greatest video format ever created in the history of man. The 3 levels of nicotine addiction. Level 1. Social vapor. As we discussed earlier, at this point, you kinda just vape on night outs or when you hang out with your friends, but that doesn't mean you're not addicted, it means you're only slightly so, and just equate socializing with vaping. Which, if you're able to keep it this way, you'll be fine, and if you ever decide that, nah, I don't wanna quit hanging out with friends with vaping, you can quit relatively easy. Difficulty, 3 out of 10. Yo, what's up? Give me a fucking puff! Level 2. Dispo Fiend. You couldn't resist the buzz and went ahead and started getting your own dispos. Now you're way more fucked than before because nicotine is in your daily schedule, so your body is starting to get used to it always being available when needed. Depending on how long you keep daily puffing will determine how hard it is for you to quit, but on average, if you've been hitting it for a couple weeks, I'd say difficulty level 6.5 out of 10. Pretty hard. But an easy strategy to try is if you're not a coffee drinker, start being one. Basically, if you're struggling to go completely cold turkey, instead of a morning rip, try a morning brew. I know substituting one addiction for another doesn't sound that good, but as I said earlier, having 1 to 3 cups of coffee a day is actually healthy. That's also why this method only works if you're not already a caffeine fiend, because if you are, this won't really do much. Level 3. Why are you talking to me? Help me find my vape! Or I'm gonna fucking die! Oh, you're a fiend, a pirate, a capitalist for that nick. You've completely handed over your life to the substance, meaning you don't even try to fight it anymore. Your brain says, get some nick, and you grab one of your 13 dispos or your prized possession box mod and rip until you feel kinda shitty. Difficulty quitting, 9 out of 10, only cause I've met a person who literally uses nicotine pouches like it's a fucking oxygen tank and he's 1,000 feet underwater. Meaning, mans wakes up, puts one under, and then throughout his entire day, instead of alternating between having one between his gums and not having one, the instant he takes it out, he puts a new one in. This dude once tried to quit cold turkey, and I shit you not, 4 hours later, he was experiencing headaches, dizziness, vomiting. That's just sad, man, for real. So to answer the question of if you're addicted to nicotine is, well, if you're already asking that, then you probably are. But hopefully, you were able to identify where you stand currently, and use this video to realize that you're slightly addicted and better to quit now than have it be way harder in the future, or that you've already moved up the ladder and need to take action now before you get to the point of the nicotine pouch guy I told you about.
The Plug, a holy being that will always be there for you, especially when you don't need him, and also occasionally when you do. And because I don't live in the fancy America, where all the big vloggers and TikTokers are, I still rely on the Plug for my Zaza. But after years of buying from different plugs, I always wondered how much money do these guys actually make and what are the requirements to be successful in the profession? Well, finally, after the introduction of a new, scientifically enhanced type of grass, HHC, I kinda got the answer to these questions, and I'ma be honest with you, it ain't what I expected. As I said before, it all started with the introduction of the so-called new and improved ZA, HHC, and because it was new and regulations had not been set, even in my Stone Age country where an 18-year-old can buy a liter of vodka and drink himself to death, or just get hammered and get the sudden urge to call out the 6'5" undefeated heavyweight MMA fighter at the club because, well, when he sees red, bodies start dropping. Anyway, since this was legal and I am a law-abiding citizen who wouldn't even dare to jaywalk, I thought to myself, this is the perfect moment to see what being the plug is all about. Furthermore, because most dudes in this country don't know anything about strains, hash, bud, and just take whatever the plug has, I didn't need to worry about people thinking I scammed them. Also, your boy conducted a thorough inspection of this new product using only the most delicate and scientific tools possible. Oh, okay, I hit that shit through a Red Bull canning. It kicked pretty nicely, so I dubbed it Verified Lab. After securing half an ounce of the Verified Lab, which is 14 grams in European tongue, I went to work on finding customers. And obviously the best place to start is on Snapchat. So I took a picture of the Zaza with the caption, $15 per gram, hit me up. Which is a steal, because, well, it sold for 20 a G here. And unfortunately, I only got one sale, cause I guess most of the people who I knew smoke Verified Lab were plugs themselves and knew of the existence of HHC and that it's like $6 a gram. But I was still determined to flip them packs and make them racks, so I hit up the most trustworthy plug I knew who actually had people in his contacts who smoked Verified Lab, but were not in the business of trapping themselves. After a thorough business meeting where we may or may not have smoked the grass ourselves, he conducted that the gas I had was indeed worthy of the title Verified Lab, and offered to buy it all for $12 a gram, which, I mean, I got it for 8.5, so I obviously said yes. At first I thought that was all. I made a nice profit of about $40 and was feeling good. But after about 2 days, I got a message from the plug I conducted business with reading, "Bro, that shit sold out quick. Can you order more? I think I can actually sell this stuff for 25 a G, cause people want the same stuff real bad." Now, I think you are currently pondering two questions. Why didn't he just order more himself? And how the hell did these dudes not know it was HHC? Well, the reason he didn't order more himself is quite simple. He is a full-time OG plug, so dudes does not have a bank account to order stuff. And to answer the second question, I truly don't know. I couldn't really believe it myself, but I guess most stoners really don't give a fuck about news and staying up to date with it. In the words of the great plug himself, these dudes just wanna get as up as possible. They don't know nothing about no THC, HHC, CBD, BBC, NBA, MMA, nothing. Anyway, it all sounds great, right? Everybody loves the Verified Lab and are willing to pay premium for it. Plus, it's all technically legal and I don't even need to sell it myself. Well, it would have been, but there were two problems that made it a bit more sketch. You see, the issue with HHC is that it's a chemically produced product. All it actually is THC with a couple extra hydrogen molecules. And through thorough research, both practical and scientifical, I found out that HHC is very unstable in nature, meaning one patch of the same strain can truly be Verified Lab. But then the next patch made with the exact same ZA and same way could be some whack leftover Reggie. It's because it's very hard to control how well this hydrogen molecule binds to the THC, and not financially worth it to control the potency of each patch. So you could order that shit once and get some damn moon rock, or like the first experience I had with HHC, get some damn oregano. And the second problem was the plug I was conducting business with didn't want that risk all to himself, so I would have to cover the upfront costs of the HHC and then give it to him where he would hopefully flip it for 25 bucks a G, which I would receive 15 bucks a G and him 10. So here I was with quite the pickle of a conundrum. Should I order a whole ounce of HHC, which by buying an ounce you get the best price per gram, but I risk it being whack Reggie? Or should I just order a fourth, therefore lowering the risk of getting whack product, but also lowering the profit margins? And the conclusion I arrived at was the best of both worlds. I ordered half an ounce just like before. After receiving the good, I gave half of it to the trustworthy OG plug and waited for that passive income to roll in. But unfortunately, it was as I feared. The stuff I got this time was still good and solid, but it just wasn't the verified loud I received before. So the OG plug was having trouble marketing it as premium ZA and lowered the price to the industry standard $20 a G. But unfortunately, dudes were catching on as well, and some of them refused to buy the ZA cause they could just order it online. Like, yeah, you can, but wouldn't you rather buy from your friendly neighborhood plug? I guess not, cause after a couple days, the OG plug sent me another message. Yo, this stuff ain't moving like before, and people catching on about the origins. I have half of the stuff left. If you want, I'll buy it out for $10 a G, or just return it to you. Which I hesitantly chose the first option, so I had him just buy it out. Yet there was still the issue of the 7 Gs or so I had left, which I initially planned on flipping, but was unfortunately unable to, cause mofos knew I got that shit for pennies compared to the asking price. So I did as old plugs would do and dubbed the leftover HHC as my personal stash, and just started blazing my own product, which was kinda stupid in hindsight because a couple weeks after, HHC was illegalized, as we all knew it would be, and became a rarity in the ZA industry. Which mofo started flipping that shit for $30 a G, like goddamn, it ain't even that different from normal ZA. Anyway, by the end of it all, I made a bit under $100 in profit, or in another metric, about 10 Gs of ZA, which I smoked myself. So really the conclusion to my plugging experience was I got free grass, which was a bit underwhelming cause I was hoping to become the local Pablo Escobar, if you know what I mean. Moral of the story is don't get high off your own supply, or at least if you want to be a businessman. Oh, and also don't sell illegal things, cause well, this HHC was legal, so I could have technically flipped it on Facebook Marketplace or something.
The first high, a core memory, and whether you enjoyed it or not doesn't really matter, cause for 95% of people, their first time literally shapes their entire opinion on the grass. Almost everybody who isn't age 50 or over and says, weed is the work of the devil, and should be more illegal than even meth. Well, actually it is. The ZA is Schedule 1 and meth is Schedule 2, so... Yeah, that's right. That's why I love America. Greatest damn country in the world.
USA! USA! USA!
Anyway, what I was saying was that most people who tweak their first time are put off by it for a while and shape into ZA haters, and people who have fun their first time, believe it or not, don't all become mindless junkies who eat Little Caesars and watch SpongeBob all day. Rather, when asked their opinion on weed, they'll probably just say,
my stomach turned into an endless void with an unquenchable hunger for anything edible, which was followed by a sleepiness so uncontrollable I passed out halfway into my 25th Twinkie. It was pretty fun.
So obviously me, CBD bro, who runs an entire YouTube channel dedicated to the green plant, must have had the latter experience, right? Well, not really. As you see, when I was but a wee lad, uncontaminated by the forbidden fruits of the world like alcohol, nicotine, and yes, weed, always believed that alcohol makes you homeless, nicotine makes you a little bitch, and weed makes you lazy. Thinking that, I didn't want to waste not just my first high, but my very first time feeling anything besides normal on eating Doritos and watching Family Guy. Which, after turning 17, I decided it was about time I lost my substance virginity and planned to do so on Christmas dinner, where I was gonna let El Marijuana put its big, fat, thick, juicy, delicately rolled J in my mouth, but only after I had eaten, as I believed if my tummy was full, I wouldn't get the munchies and could instead contemplate the meaning of life my time high. And thankfully, I had an older brother who was more than willing to give me a puff or two from his Christmas dinner J for $4, the fucking cheapskate. So we went upstairs and started puffing, which Rezex was instantly bamboozled from the magic grass. Nice, it's not a dud. Now it's my turn. I grabbed the J and puffed until I could puff no more. And the result was, I didn't feel a damn thing. Still had to pay the $4 though. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, as we went through the day, I got increasingly more jealous of my brother, who by his words was fried AF. I was beginning to think maybe I'm immune to getting high, which after telling my brother this theory, he concluded that I'm stupid and just didn't inhale the za in my lungs, and so generously told me to follow him upstairs where he gave me a couple more puffs. for an extra $4, the damn venture capitalist. As I was smoking away, keeping in mind to inhale it all the way down to my lungs, I still wasn't feeling anything, and my hopes of getting fried AF were beginning to look more like a distant dream. When I finished puffing, I sat down at the computer to look at some of those watch while high videos, and my brother asked me, "So, you feel anything now?" "No, I don't. What's this weird I'm not sure." "I don't know, seems to me you're fried like some Kentucky chicken, boy." I was indeed fried, and incredibly so. Although I didn't smoke a ton, my body had never experienced anything besides a sugar rush and maybe a caffeine kick. So as I was watching this watch while you're high video, I was laughing at everything and was tripping the out. But not in a bad way, it was freaking amazing. Being high was what I always imagined it to be until... bloop. I'm sober again. Yeah, you heard right. My first high lasted like 30 seconds, and in an instant, I was back to normal, which I don't know why. Even to this day, when I tell people about this, nobody can relate because no one has experienced this phenomenon. But since I'm a scientist, I have developed a super duper concrete theory backed by quantum mechanics and the late great Stephen Hawking on my experience, and overall the reason why a lot of people who smoke their first time don't feel anything. I theorize that all humans have a natural block against foreign substances, a wall per se, and when an individual inhales ZA, the particles act kind of like micromissiles targeting your cannabinoid receptors. For the people whose defensive wall is strong enough, it will stop all perpetrators attempting to infiltrate your brain. But this wall isn't regeneratable, so if the micromissiles fail to get you fried at first, the next time they'll have an easier time against your already damaged wall of defense. Now, I bet you're thinking to yourself, "This mofo been smoking too much of that Einstein pack." And to you, I say maybe, but also I have practical proof of this theory. I used to be a pro baller, and one day me and a couple hooper friends who all have great immune systems and therefore probably good ZA defensive walls decided to smoke up, and to my buddies, it was their first time. Once we lit the J and passed it around, I made sure to tell everybody to inhale the smoke in their lungs, which I'm pretty sure they all did, but still, I was the only one who got high, cause it wasn't my first time. But when I smoked up with some of my non-athlete first-timer friends, they all got high like normal. So, conclusion, defensive ZA wall is a real thing and I stand by my theory. Anyway, although that was my first time feeling high, I wouldn't call it my first high because it only lasted for half a minute. My first real high experience was something even more memorable and etched to my brain until I die. A couple weeks after the last incident, me and Riz X decided it was about damn time I actually felt the true love and touch of the Mary Jane. And this time, instead of having only scraps of ZA, we bought a whole gram to hopefully destroy my highly speculative ZA wall. I think it's real. Also, at this time, we were obsessed with freestyle rapping, so we decided the plan of action was to smoke up, eat candy, and rap battle to copyright-free beats while recording it so we could listen to our unreleased tracks in the morning. Since our parents were away for the night, we got the whole apartment to ourselves and planned on rolling 2 J's, both containing 0.5 G. Since we were petrified at the thought of getting caught blazing, instead of being sensible and smoking the J's near a window and just blowing the smoke out, we put our jackets on and walked 500 feet away from the apartment to light up, just to be sure that there wouldn't even be a microfiber of evidence that we were smoking the devil's lettuce. As we were consuming the J, all I could hope for was that this time I wouldn't just get a limited free trial, but the actual full version. But alas, when we finished puffing the J, I again felt nothing, or at least that's what I thought, cause as we arrived back home, I finally realized that, "So you feeling it?" Yeah, kinda. Sometimes the high hits you a couple minutes later, especially if you're going from outdoors to indoors as we did. And my highly accepted theory in the science community about this phenomenon is that through evolution, we have always considered indoors to be our safe zone and outdoors dangerous. Therefore, when you're outside, your brain doesn't allow the full faded and relaxed effect to take over, probably in anticipation of a roadman coming and chefing you up with the mandem. Okay, this one I'm not so confident in, and I have to come clean. I am in no shape or form associated with the science community. Yet. Anyway, now that we were high and in the living room, we started putting on some beats and freestyling. And to this day, I have yet to replicate the skill and precision of my flow that high. It's hard to explain, but nowadays, I can't rap for shit. I mean, I'll spit one line and be like, yo, I've been getting money making racks, cause you know I'm flipping packs. That's facts. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I run out of rhymes pretty fast, but that day, I did not. In fact, even when my brain had nothing to say, my mouth rapped it for me. I turned into a freestyling robot and became dead sure that I was gonna make it out by dropping a mixtape and becoming a famous rapper. Until we listened to the recording in the morning and realized, yo, flowing on the go. Your girl, she a hoe, making money dancing with a pole. My girl making dough while doing lines of blow. Cause we in the penthouse, baby, living life, and that's for show.
Yeah, I'll try YouTube instead.
What's crazy though is that after that, I was never able to replicate the auto-rapping again, so my rap career never flowered, but who knows, maybe I'll try to convert this channel into lyric videos and shitposting, all while steadily alienating my audience and killing my channel. Or maybe I should just make a separate channel for that?
Moonrock, a type of weed that has been designed to bamboozle your frontal cortex and get you moving extremely irregular. Apparently so much so that Snoop Dogg himself finds them too strong and has warned against the use of these intergalactic Obi-Wan Kenobi exotic nugs.
But CBD bro, you already smoked Moonrock a year ago.
And yes, technically I did, but as I learned to discover just a few days ago, crumbling a Moonrock J into a bowl isn't even close to the real thing. But why did we buy a pre-roll instead of actual Moonrock that day? Well, you see, the J was $15 and the nug itself was $50, so I was just trying to save a little bit of money, I'm sorry. Now that we have that out of the way, let me set the scene for you. I just spent 24 hours going from airport to airport, flying my way to the USA of A. So I had what you might call jet lag, or a better way to put it, a non-alcoholic hangover. And if you know me, after a hard day's work, I like to indulge in that motherfucking top shelf gas. So right after getting to my apartment, I started scheming, cooking, fiddling my thumbs on my electronic mobile device in search of some dank weed, bruh. And that's when it occurred to me, I hadn't smoked up in over 2 weeks. My tolerance must be damn near 0. Yeah, I don't want to overdo it. What's that stuff I smoked in Amsterdam again, though, that had me find demons? Moonrock? Nah. That'll disrupt my circadian rhythm. Wait. My circadian rhythm already is disrupted. Shit, Moonrock might just undisrupt it back to normal. So there I was, having made up my mind with absolute logic that could not be argued against. I concluded that the only thing potent enough to cure my jet lag was my dear old friend Moonrock. And remember how I said I found out a few days ago that what I smoked in Amsterdam wasn't actually Moonrock? Yeah, well, the few days I was referring to wasn't some random Google search. This shit would end up getting me so galactically obliterated, I scrambled to find out if I had smoked some lace grass, only to discover that the hole I dug myself into was no one else's fault but mine, god damn. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. After browsing the interwebs for a while, I found a place that sells Moonrock at an affordable price. So me, a carless man, decided to use the extremely sophisticated and thorough public transport system of the United States.
I told you this was your last day, Johnny.
I'm sorry. Just give me one more day. I'll pay it all back. I promise.
Rest in pepperoni, you damn crackhead. Holy shit. Did I just hear a dude getting shot? Thankfully, I'm safe on the
We looking for ops, young niggas standing outside, they don't give a fuck about the cops, we clutching them ops.
So after taking a bus I'm assuming was operated by the Crenshaw Crips, I arrived in the fabulous dispensary and was ready to get my dank Moonrocks.
Hello, sir. How may I help you today?
Yeah, I'd like to purchase some Moonrock.
Sure. Do you have your ID or passport?
Yes, I do. I came prepared.
Yeah, checks out. That'll be $120.
120? I said I want Moonrock, not diamond-encrusted weed.
Well, that's the price. You want it or not.
Yeah, okay. After being bent over and having all my saved up rupees finessed, I held in my hand Moonrock. Not a cheap Moonrock J, some real sticky icky dank smelling nugs that looked like they really were from the moon. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of my financial troubles because I was almost certain I had 30 minutes earlier heard a man being shot and killed near the bus stop. I didn't want to have my fade ran by the nearest gang affiliated Moonrock smelling thugs, so using the money I was hoping to buy food with the next day, I
instead got an Uber. Oh yeah. After arriving back at my apartment, I made sure that this time I would do things right. So I googled how to smoke moonrock and was instantly greeted with a mistake I had made. Or I don't know if it was a mistake, but this tutorial said to pack your bowl full of your favorite flower and then add a couple chunks of your moonrock in. Which obviously I didn't do because I only had the damn moonrock. Damn, I swear it was easier last time. This shit's sticky as fuck. Oh, well, screw it. I'll just pack it full of moonrock. What's the worst that can happen? A grave mistake. A skibbity lapse in judgment. I was not at all prepared for what was to come, even though I thought I was. And the reason for that was my false understanding of how potent this shit actually is. I had smoked sunrock before, but did so from a J, which is not really how you're supposed to do it, making its potency noticeably lower. And the moonrock I smoked in Amsterdam was apparently just a J covered in keef that we crumbled into a BONG, and on top of that, when you consider the copious amounts of top shelf Zaza we were smoking prior, I think you might be starting to see how this is gonna go.
Here goes nothing. Holy shit. Okay, I know where this is going.
The instant the first bit of high hit me, I knew I was fucked. But CBD, bro, it's just weed. No, you don't know what you're talking about. The first wave was eerily similar to when I hit the Penjamin for the first time, doing 2 blinkers. And if you remember that video, you know I was about to go through one hell of a trip. I rushed back inside and put my bong and other gear away as fast as I could before my IQ would drop to the level of a 4-year-old. Then I proceeded to put on some random YouTube video about P. Diddy, expecting to be entertained, only to find out he's coming for you. He could be anywhere. Justin Bieber. Oh Lord, what did he do to him? Beyonce too? No, she's in the Illuminati. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. Yeah, so I definitely chose the wrong subject matter to accompany my near greenouts, and I was 100% starting to tweak. So I finally decided to stop with this P. Diddy stuff, as it was not doing me any favors.
Okay, chill. I'll just put on some music.
I went in there and did it and made it, you can too. We done came a long way from broken shoes.
When you're rich like this, you don't check the forecast, every day's gonna rain. Yeah.
Wait, it can't be.
No, not you too. Drip too hard, don't stand too close. Look around, driven up this wave. After realizing that a lot of the music I grew up with was the product of an alleged monster, I was rather sad. So I tried to instead play video games, hoping that if I focused on guiding my brightly colored Fall Guy from falling off the map due to the extensive obstacles in his way, I would be fine. Okay, Fall Guys, let's play some Fall Guys. How much a man can fall. Fallout 4.
20 minutes later.
Yeah, I remember I used to love Call of Duty. Nuketown was the shit.
Wait,
I was supposed to play Fall Guys, man. What is this weed? I can't do shit. I could not focus on anything, bruh. Well, I say anything, but I really mean anything positive. As if I were to let myself slip for even just a moment that day, I could feel every single cell in my body. And when I'm that freakishly high and I start focusing on that little ache I have in my back or the speed of my heart rate, it takes me to Tweak Town real quick. I was trying to keep myself busy as best I could, but everything I did, I was either reminded about the horrors of P. Diddy or started overanalyzing if that pork chop I ate 5 hours earlier might have been undercooked and about to give me some food poisoning. Which, what the fuck am I gonna do then? I can't call the ambulance. I'm baked as fuck, and I'm in the US. It will cost me like 50 grand, bruh. Thankfully though, like with all grass highs, it's all in your head, and unless you took some potent eddies, it starts wearing off in a couple hours. So all in all, I learned that moonrock is way more crazy than I thought, and that I should probably revisit its more potent brother Sunrock as well, cause this trip left me wondering, what would happen if I smoked that shit properly? Mushrooms, truffles, call it psilocybin if you're a fancy pants, I don't care. But you will. You'll care about it deeply. You'll question your life. What have you done? Why are you here? What are you doing?
Snap out of it!
Look at your phone. What's the time? How much longer What? What you just saw is what I like to call the mushroom experience. And I'm not talking about some Gordon Ramsay culinary dish. I'm talking about that fourth dimension. I'm talking about you being Neo sitting in front of Morpheus.
Choose to eat them, and you will see the truth of who you are. Discover your subconscious. Question things that you've just assumed were true. And if you navigate this path successfully, you'll emerge as...
But, well, what Morpheus won't tell you is that if you don't accept the path of the fungus and fight your subconscious instead, you will not, and I repeat, not have a good time. In fact, I think it's safe to say you shouldn't ever tell anyone to eat mushrooms. It never works out. Either they just don't do it, or they feel like they gotta try it and end up just fighting demons for 3 hours, gaining nothing from the experience except more fear. That being said, for education, science, and the furtherment of mankind, I will be sharing my story to educate the public about the dangers of the unknown. So by continuing with this video, you acknowledge that you are strictly watching this for educational and entertainment reasons and will never recreate anything in the video. Please? Was that enough?
We'll see, boy.
Enter my friend Ricky. Me and him were chilling at his place when we got to talking. You see, I had previously just consumed some interdimensional fungus a couple weeks back and was kind of raving about how eye-opening it was. You know, the basic hippie shit. But Ricky was not buying it, which in my eyes made me feel like I gotta prove him wrong. Now, I think he was such an unbeliever because he's your typical Eastern European blue-collar, work hard, get hammered on the weekend type of dude. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just I wish I would have realized if your favorite thing to do is forget about all your worries and problems by getting drunk every weekend, then mushrooms probably won't be something you'll vibe with, especially if you low-key don't even want to do them. But regardless, I was all like,
Ricky, my man, my main man, my brother from another mother. Okay, I get it. What do you want?
What I want is for you to want to eat some mushrooms with me tonight.
Eat mushrooms with you and talk about our feelings, or hit up Salamander, go to the club, get hammered, pull some baddies, and lay down the pipe. Tough choice.
Well, let me translate that for you. Eat mushrooms, chill out, have fun, free of charge. Or hit up Salamander, spend over $100 on drinks and club entrance fees in hopes of pulling a baddie. With, well, so far your track record being 1 of 15, with the singular success being that fat bitch.
Okay, you made your point. Let's eat the stupid mushrooms. I probably won't feel them anyway.
I had convinced my good old friend Ricky, or at least old friend, maybe not so good. Anyway, he was down to enter the land of mushrooms, and I was down with the plug who had some fungus on the low-low. Although I had promoted this event as free of charge, my financial situation disagreed. So I slowly leaned closer to Ricky and said,
"If you bar $20 to the mall."
With the funding for our mushroom experience now secured, I hit up Jimmy the plug god with,
and now we play the waiting game.
Any moment now.
Finally.
Yeah, 10G will run you about $100.
Ricky, Richard, Rick Dog.
You think you can spare an extra $30 for the homie?
Fine.
With further funding secured from our amazing sponsor, Rick Dog LLC, we ventured into our automobile to go and secure some Chungus fungus. And while we were driving there, I was all like, you know what I want to experience ego death? You get rich and pull hella hoes forever, right?
That's stupid, but enlighten me, I guess.
Okay, so hear me out. Why do individuals eschew the pursuit of their aspirations and the undertaking of risks, particularly when they are not constrained by socio-economic disadvantages? The answer lies in the nature of the ego, which harbors a fear of failure. This fear arises from a deep-seated concern that we may not be as intelligent or as capable as we believe ourselves to be. Consequently, the ego compels us to remain within the confines of our comfort zone, a realm in which we can entertain limitless potential without ever actualizing it.
Damn, you really want to eat those shrooms, don't you?
Perhaps. As we pulled up to the plug's addy and hunted him down, we completed our transaction and received a good amount of fungus, which I thoroughly inspected on the ride back and told Ricky the plan. No eating anything 2 hours before ingesting. Drink orange juice or anything sugary to end the trip faster. It takes about 30 minutes to kick and 2 hours to reach maximum overdrive. Any questions? Do they, taste okay? Like an expired can of organic dog shit. Nice. We'll eat it with chocolate, though. Great. We got back to the crib and sat down at the couch next to the table and got all our supplies like orange juice, chocolate, and water. Let's do this. I'm ready.
I can still feel the taste.
Yeah, that'll be like that for a while, but let's take our minds off it with the new Plankton movie featuring SpongeBob.
It's on Netflix.
And so that's exactly what we did. Sat there in anticipation for the fungus to absorb, among us. It took a while, and the wait is always pretty anxious because you don't know when they gonna hit. I mean, it could be now. Better check my hands. No weirdness or fuzziness? What about the walls? The TV? Okay. Seem normal for now. Why is Plankton always plotting something?
Dude really got no chill, for real.
They were starting to kick, but the start is easy. When you're at that microdose level, it's basically like being faded. It isn't until a few dozen minutes go by that if you took some chungus fungus, you're about to start tripping balls, bro.
A few moments later.
Yo, bro, you watching the movie? Bro, I got no fucking idea what I'm watching. That's fair. Might have eaten too much.
Too much? Wait, you're telling me I ate too much?
No, not really. It just could have taken less too, but what? No spiritual awakening then? Basically. Yo, I gotta get some fresh air. I feel like I can't breathe, man. Shit. Let's go outside then. You're getting me tweaking too, Rick Dog.
Stop calling me that. As with every mushroom trip I personally ever had, stage 1 was complete, aka the indoors part, and stage 2, the juicy part, was just beginning. The outdoors wanderer and ponderer. Thank God we did this in spring, because personally, I don't know if I could even handle going outside in the cold while on that Mario pack. Anyway, we walked around in our small town in the fresh air, basking in the glory of the sun, hoping that we don't see anyone we know and shit. What's up? Y'all trying to come to the club tonight?
Not gonna lie, me and Ricky are more fungus than Big Chungus, and Rick Dog is low-key. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
High-key tweaking out like an Oompa Loompa. Damn! You two did mushrooms together? That's kinda gay, but well, have fun.
No, don't leave me. Please, Tree. You're all I have. Yeah, we will, yeah.
Ricky, come on now. The tree isn't leaving you. Let's go, get something to drink. So we moved on to the small grocery store in our neighborhood where, according to Ricky, we did not belong. He told me that it feels like everybody is staring at him, and although in my heart I knew that they weren't, the shrooms told me,
yo, this mofo Ricky's speaking facts.
Nah, bro, chill. You've been here enough to know that's not true. It's in your head, son.
Not to scare you, bro, but, you're screwed. The demons are approaching. Ricky? We gotta get out of here right now.
And so we did, with only one thing to show from our efforts, a container of OJ, which turns out does nothing. I mean, every smart shop owner in Amsterdam always says drink OJ to end the trip faster, but ChatGPT told me, nah, bro, that's cap. Which I wish I didn't ask him that while on the fungus, cause now all hope was lost. I couldn't even tell Ricky to jug the orange juice, cause I knew it was a dud. The trip really started feeling like a weird nightmare, but I mean, not so much, because I was tweaking mostly cause Ricky was, and I feel completely responsible for that, cause, well, it was my idea. So I did the only thing I felt like I could. I apologized to Ricky for dragging him into Mushroom Kingdom, which he accepted and told me, it's not your fault, bro. And after that, it was like something clicked, and we finally started vibing, talking about what we were feeling and what we were thinking. Near the end of the shrooms, we were discussing our trip, and if Ricky regretted it, and he said, well, yeah, but not as much as he thought. Because although the first half of the fungus was spooky, the second half did give him some type of spiritual or mental awakening, per se. Not that Ricky was gonna do anything with that. He got wasted with Salamander the next day and spent $200 on drinks, pulling zero hoes in the process. Moral of the story is, magic fungus can make you feel more connected with yourself and your subconscious. Will eating it once with no clear goal or motive change your life? Absolutely not. Or at least, that's what I think due to my experience with Rick Dog.
For the last time, stop calling me that!
Smoke weed every day. To some, this is their mantra, and to others, it is just something they said in 4th grade to sound cool, along with, of course, it getting money. But did you know, smoking weed isn't just some 21st century trend where after COVID everyone just realized, man, this sucks. Yo, did you hear? The lockdown is ending next week. We finally get to leave our rooms. Man, this sucks. No. People have been getting high off that homegrown natural supply for decades, centuries, dare I say millennia. And over these countless years, a lot of the people who shaped our history also shaped finely ground botanical matter tightly packed within a thin, often translucent paper forming a perfect tube. AKA a joint. I'm saying they smoked weed, okay? Anyway, some of these people we can confirm to have consumed the Lord's loud, and the others we, well, unfortunately just have suggesting evidence for. And one will be complete speculation by me, which, try and guess which one of them is which, I'll also tell you at the end of the video. First up, William Shakespeare. The idea that William Shakespeare may have smoked cannabis stems from findings in the early 2000s where scientists discovered pipe fragments in Shakespeare's garden. These pipes contain traces of cannabis, among other substances. While there is no direct evidence that Shakespeare himself used cannabis, the presence of these compounds has led to speculation about whether he might have experimented with that top-shelf Zaza. This theory is further fueled by some interpretations of his writings, such as in Sonnet 76, where he mentions invention in a noted weed, which some suggest could be a subtle nod to using weed as a source of creative inspiration. However, these are only speculations and there's no conclusive evidence to confirm them. Me, however, have no doubt in my mind that man at least once in his lifetime got faded than a hoe. I mean, they found signs of cannabis among other substances, suggesting to me that one of Shakespeare's friends like Thomas Green or James Burbage once brought Shakespeare some weed not knowing what it was, and after getting high, Shakespeare was all like, to be or not to be, got rich and famous, and then went his entire life trying to find more weed, hence the other substances found in that pipe. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory. But now, let's talk about Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria might not be the first person you'd imagine puffing on a joint, but history has its surprises. Back in the Victorian era, our dear Queen was quite the savant when it came to pain management. Prescribed cannabis by her royal physician, Sir J. Russell Reynolds, Victoria reportedly used it to relieve menstrual cramps. This makes her one of the earliest known VIPs of the medical marijuana club, proving even monarchs need a little herbal relief now and then. No word on whether it made court affairs more amusing, but one could certainly hope. Although this one is proven to be true, unlike Shakespeare, it isn't quite as, well, entertaining is the right word, I guess, as there really is no proof that she ever smoked that OG, just put a few drops under her tongue. Did she ever have the munchies? Did she ever get intentionally high before, let's say, a play to make it more enjoyable? I guess we'll never know. One can only ponder about the royal rotation. George Washington. The $1 bill. America's first president and perhaps its first agricultural innovator in the realm of hemp. In his days, tending to the vast fields of Mount Vernon, Washington got quite savvy with his crops, particularly hemp, which was used primarily for industrial purposes like making ropes and fabrics. But here's a little historical nugget. Washington wrote about separating male from female hemp plants. Now, to the untrained eye, this might just seem like good old farming, but those in the know might wink at the idea that George was onto something more recreational. I mean, why else fuss over female plants known for their higher THC content? Well, there's no smoking gun or smoking pipe, as it were, to prove he partook himself. It does raise eyebrows, and maybe even a few smiles at the thought of the father of his country partaking in a bit of the herb. Of course, there are some other reasons why George could have wanted to separate female plants from male ones, but I just can't imagine being so into weed farming and not even once being curious enough to smoke it. Can you? Probably not. So conclusion, I think he smoked. You think he smoked? He smoked. Herodotus. Often dubbed the father of history, he had quite the knack for detailing the quirky habits of ancient cultures. In his tales, he mentions the Scythians, a group that really knew how to throw a smoky party. They weren't just tossing burgers on the grill, but were burning cannabis seeds to whip up a bathhouse-style smoke fest. Imagine this, ancient warriors chilling in felt tents, getting secondhand highs from hotboxing with hemp. Which leads us to Alexander the Great. Some cultures around his empire used cannabis, such as the Scythians, who, as I mentioned earlier, Herodotus noted used it in steam baths. However, there are no records or indications that Alexander himself used cannabis. His conquest did bring him into contact with many different peoples and cultures, so it's likely he was aware of various herbal practices. However, connecting him directly to cannabis use is, well, fight on! Light on. Unlikely. Louis Armstrong. The jazz virtuoso with a trumpet and a grin as wide as the Mississippi had a special relationship with gauge, his preferred term for marijuana. Armstrong wasn't just casual about his cannabis, he considered it essential to his music and well-being. He famously said that it made him feel good, didn't make him mad, and that he couldn't forget it even if he tried. So integral was marijuana to his routine that he wrote to President Eisenhower advocating for its legalization. We always looked at pot as a sort of medicine, a cheap drunk, and with much better thoughts than one that's full of liquor. Wise words if I do say so myself. For Armstrong, weed was a part of the jazz lifestyle, keeping him cool in the face of the era's hot prejudices and even hotter jazz clubs. Carl Sagan. The Cosmos' personal tour guide was not only fascinated by the stars, but also by the starry effects of marijuana. Under the nom de plume, Mr. X, aka Sagan, extolled the virtues of weed in an essay that spoke of it as both a source of profound philosophical insights and a simple pleasure. He argued that cannabis had a remarkable power to enhance curiosity, appreciation for art, and sensory experiences, essentially deepening the user's connection to the universe. His private use of cannabis was a tool for scientific meditation and personal enlightenment, a kind of mental spacecraft exploring the uncharted territories of the human mind, all while maintaining a vigorous career in astrophysics. What a G! His appreciation for weed was not just about enjoyment, but also an intellectual pursuit, adding a layer of contemplation to his stargazing. This one is one of my favorites because it really just proves that weed doesn't make a hardworking person lazy, it makes a lazy person lazier. And in the case of Mr. X, no, not you Elon Musk, Carl, it's awesome to see an advocate for weed that isn't a rapper or a retired athlete, but an esteemed astrophysicist. No, not you either, Neil deGrasse Tyson, we all know how smart you are. Final person on our list, and the most prominent in Zaza use. Everything he described makes sense to me, as although I'm not hippie enough to say my Zaza destruction is due to me wanting to deepen my connection to the universe, I do however prefer to play No Man's Sky high as balls. Thanks for watching. Oh, and Alexander the Great was the fake one. He didn't smoke up. Sorry.
I think most of us have worked a minimum wage job, and the most easily accessible ones usually involve the flipping of the patty some way or another. Like, I'ma keep it $1.50 with you. If you ain't work at a gas station or fast food place and instead opted for something like a hotel admin or a waitress at a cafe or even a lifeguard, you really got off easy. Cause as a youngster, your parents usually make you work at least once to teach you about hard work and dedication. But if you were out here bathing under the sun and only occasionally waved your finger like, you can't do that cause I might actually have to work then with all due respect, you probably ain't been through the struggles most of us went through. I worked at a gas station for a couple months and that was my first work experience. But to be honest, the gas station and fast food place are pretty much the same cause besides from the gas, it's really a fast food place for when all the good food spots are closed and now you have to settle for the 24/7 microwave gas station grub. But I ain't even gonna cap, I love making food, especially if I don't have to wash the dishes later, and that was the case in the good old gas station. Well, what am I complaining about then? Well, you see, the problem with all minimum wage jobs usually boil down to a misunderstanding between the manager or a person that's been working there for a long time and the guy who's there because his parents made him go or he couldn't find any other job. That's me. Because you see, in this world, some people actually believe that being a manager at some gas station makes you a successful individual with a firm hand whose commands must be obeyed. Or in my case, this bitch wasn't even the manager. In fact, she was working the same damn position I was. That being, do everything you're told and I'll pay you $10 an hour. Which really should be the title for every minimum wage job if you ask me. Anyway, although we were working the same position, she had been there for years. So, you know, she was teaching me the ways of the fine art of cleaning toilets, scrubbing floors, flipping burgers, and above all else, kissing every customer's ass. Which is fine. I knew what I signed up for and I took it like a man. Until I got to the end of my graveyard shift, and you know, I ain't even gonna front. I was being pretty lazy, or another way to say it, I was putting in minimum effort. But I mean, that's why it's called a minimum wage job, cause all you have to do is exert minimal effort, right? But this scallywag thought otherwise. There was 5 minutes left on my shift and she pulls up on me and asks me to stock the fridge. And in my head I'm thinking, why not? But I'll probably have to leave it half done anyway, cause my shift is almost over, baby. But then she hits me with the most stupid, hilarious, and kind of sad sentence I've heard in a long time. Once you stock the fridge, I might let you go home. Like, what do you mean, might? I don't know if you've checked our name badges, but yours is tiled the same as mine, that being slave for $10 an hour. Like, don't get me wrong, I ain't trying to shame anyone who's worked or working minimum wage. It's a struggle out here and everybody needs dough, and minimum wage jobs are really the only option if you don't have a degree or special skills. But this lady, well, I say lady, but she was my age. In fact, we went to the same middle school. Was bugging off some straight exotic for mouthing those words into existence. Like, I don't know what she expected me to respond, like, "Ah, yes, thank you for your kindness. I will see to it that it is done, your madam." But I just said, I don't know what you mean by that, but my shift is ending in 5 minutes, and I'm going to be leaving in 5 minutes. And to that, she didn't respond anything, cause deep in her heart, she must have known what she said was dumb AF. Now, what we can take from this experience is some people can't accept reality, and instead try to project a false one in their mind. For her, she had been working at that gas station for a while, and was probably starting to feel like kind of a loser, but instead of saying to herself, "Okay, I'm not doing so good right now, but I sure as hell ain't gonna stay like this. I'ma work on myself every day until I get where I wanna be," she took the easy way out and told herself, "Man, life hates me. It's so unfair. All I can do is take out my bitterness towards it in my work by being a total douche to everybody and acting like I own the place." No, wait, practically? I do own the place. Yeah, I'm the big dog around here. So yeah, don't be that guy, for the good of others and also yourself, cause if you let yourself fall to that place, you're gonna be that grumpy adult talking about how life has always been against you and how everything is so unfair towards you. And I don't think any of you wanna be that. But that was just one of the gas station sweats I encountered, and she was a mere disciple. One with talent, yes, but it would be long until she could control her hatred. You see, there was another, one with much more control over her anger, but still working the same position. Yet, alas, she hadn't been working there for a mere 2 years. No. 30 was the time of service for her. And she wasn't actually that mean, she just took her job way too serious. But I mean, I can't blame her because everybody needs purpose in this life, and if your calling is to clean toilets and make hot dogs, then, well, gosh darn, you gotta follow it. The only problem was, this woman was pushing this job onto me like I wanted to be there. Talking about if you wanna make it here, you gotta do this and that. Like, no, I don't wanna make it here, I wanna make it out of here. Got me thinking of how different people see the world, cause someone like myself could be watching 8 Mile and seeing the scenes where Eminem is working minimum wage and think, "Man, I know he gonna make it out of there. He Eminem, the king of rap. This is just temporary." But she was probably watching it and thinking, "Oh my god, how lucky he is to be there. If he keeps this up for a year or so, he'll get a promotion and make an extra $1 an hour. God damn." So yeah, it's all about perspective and the type of person you are, but I think the saying, "shoot for the moon, cause even if you don't get there, you'll land among the stars," can really help a lot of people, especially if you are young. You should follow your dreams, however crazy they might seem, cause I promise you, it's quite hard to fail if you never give up. Also, working minimum wage is fine, and if you wanna take a job like that super serious, that's cool. Just don't force that same attitude onto other people, cause most dudes don't see a place like that as the end, but as a way to progress to the actual place they want to be. Have you ever met someone who parades the fact that he loves the Zaza, and if you ever say anything bad about it, he gets all defensive and starts frantically arguing about how it's good for you? Like, yeah bro, there are health benefits, but if you're out here doing 8 rips, 4 2 edibles, and half a cart every 12 hours, do you really think you're reaping the health benefits of the Za? Mofo beyond about, "It helps with my anxiety and depression." Like bro, what are you anxious about? Worried that the pizza delivery guy might be an assassin? Sounds more like paranoia to me. And have you stopped to think that maybe the depression you're feeling could be because all you does is sit around, eat pizzas, smoke grass, and watch Disney Plus? But people like this aren't the majority, and overall, when you meet a fellow grass eater, you can expect him to be just a normal chill dude who uses the za to enhance his experiences, rather than rely on it for them. So today, I thought I'd go over some of the coolest dudes I've encountered who consume that lettuce, starting with the za athlete. This is the guy who's always in the gym grinding to become the ultimate specimen of human movement. The thing that's great about this dude is that although he loves the grass, which is generally considered a lazy substance, he doesn't let that stereotype stop him from enjoying it. Although many of his athlete friends might hold it against him, calling him a crackhead. He knows that it's all about moderation and using the za to enhance his recovery and free time experiences. But the best part about a dude like this is that you know he is a solid guy, that you don't have to worry about leading you down a bad road, cause he is always mindful of where the breaking point between just having a fun time with the homies and
Hey bros, wanna do some
is. So if you're friends with this guy, you can be damn sure he won't ever peer pressure you into doing something stupid. In fact, he'll probably be the one who will try to talk you out of something like that. Plus, you know, depending on the athlete, he might make the NBA, so best to stay on his good side if you ever want to blaze up in a LA mansion with Wiz Khalifa and Drake and shit. But on to the next dude on the list, the high gamer. I'm not sure how you guys feel about video games, but I've always seen the genre as the highest form of at-home entertainment there is. Although it is a lot harder to truly get into a game nowadays, when you do, the peaks of fun are much higher than watching a Netflix show, for example. Although that's just my opinion and yours might obviously be different. So you better believe it when I say I love dudes who enjoy gaming in orbit, because that's something that two za enjoyers can truly bond over. Now you might be thinking,
everybody enjoys playing games. Ain't nothing special about it.
I'd have to respectfully disagree, because it takes a certain level of power to really sit down well blasted and focused on a video game, cause honestly, most of the time it ends up going something like this. Finally time to play some Elden Ring while blasted. This is about to be crazy fun.
20 minutes later.
Man, screw this, I'ma just watch some TikToks. As you can see, it's not that easy, but if you have a friend who's on the same planet as you and you going through the struggle together in a co-op game, it's much easier to get into. So I for one will always have a special place in my heart for dudes who can actually game well blasted, cause honestly, it's not as easy as you might think, especially if the session lasts over 1 hour. But time for the productive and successful Not gonna lie, these dudes are like a rare Pokemon that you might never come across because the requirements to be a dude like this are rather high, but the power he possesses is godly. This the dude that has his own business or works like a sales job or something, which is a highly social and time-consuming practice. But somehow this mofo has done all of this while frequently bugging off the Zaza. He's kinda like the Wolf of Wall Street, but instead of doing lines off a lady's you know what I mean. He's out here taking a fat rip and then minutes later closing a massive deal with some company. I met a guy like this only once, and I won't stand here and act like I was not in awe of this man's power. We were all just chilling, faded AF, when this guy got a phone call, and not just any phone call, it was some company he was trying to make a client for the company he worked for. And me being me, all I could think of was, oh shit, dude must be freaking out being that faded, having to deal with something like that. But no, bro calmly told us he'll be back in like 10 minutes, went to the other room and closed the deal, or at least that's what it seemed like. I swear, some people just have a godlike stress tolerance, cause man, I can be out here faded and get a call from my mom to pick up some groceries, and that shit will have me stressing out if it wasn't in my initial plan. I guess what I'm trying to say is, for 95% of people, if you high every day, you're gonna get lazy and content with your position in life. But there are people who can manage to pull off this lifestyle and still be successful, and god damn do I respect that. Although I'd imagine that if they weren't high all the time, they'd be even more successful. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, next guy on the list is the artsy dude. Now, this guy isn't exactly what you're thinking. And yes, I know you're imagining this painter who's always on about, bruh, you just gotta go with the flow. Let yourself be free and you'll find peace. Sorry, but what the fuck does that even mean? Although these guys can be cool, their gimmick gets old pretty quick. The dude I like is more of just a Chad who has a highly functioning imagination. Cause with a guy like this, you always have something to talk about, and they come up with some of the most interesting things. Plus, they're usually not just some hippie dude who enjoys saying shit that makes no sense and expects everybody to think he's deep cause he saw a quote on TikTok and it really resonated with him. He's more of the dude who'll say some master Oogway quote and explain how that funny meme actually says something deep about life, but then ended with, I don't actually know, I might just be too high. And I love that, cause sometimes a mofo is just too high and sees a deeper meaning in something that doesn't have one. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory. I don't know about you, but when I meet a new person and he or she says that he enjoys getting high, I instantly think to myself, this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Although that can be the case, it's not always, cause even though the excitement of finding a fellow saw enthusiast is great in a world where some mofos still think it's worse than things like alcohol, sleeping pills, all nicotine and other shit that you can straight up buy from a supermarket, in reality, when you really think about it, it's kinda dumb, cause if it was anything else, would you feel the same? Like, if you were at a club and someone said they like drinking, you wouldn't think, oh my god, this guy gets it. Unless, you know, you're an alcoholic, I guess. But anyway, today I made a great list of people I've encountered who smoke the Zaza, but I wouldn't personally enjoy hanging out with. Starting with a well-known one, the dude who makes the grass his whole personality. Nah bruh, I can't stand dudes like this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of Zaza as much as the next guy, but bro, there's so many other things to talk about and do. The problem with these types of people is that I feel like they've missed the whole point of it all. Cause in my opinion, it's not all about how high you were, it's more about where you were high. Damn, that's deep. Like, I'd rather hang out with a dude who has never been high in his life, but has interesting stories / experiences and doesn't just talk about, yeah bro, I was so damn high last night, I was on planet Venus. Damn, that's crazy. So where were you at? What you mean? Like, where were you and what were you doing, you know? It must be a crazy story. Nah, I mean, I was just at home on my bed, you know, eating Doritos and stuff. So you were just high in your room all day? Yeah, I mean, yeah. What a fucking lame story. Don't get me wrong, being high in the comfort of your room is probably the best place to be, but like, I'ma keep it $1.25 with you. I've probably been high in my room 100 times by now, and I don't remember a single thing about any of those nights. To me, this experience is more like being in the hub area of a video game after a long and hard mission during the day, and you don't see mofos talking about what a crazy time they had in the title screen of a video game. It's usually, you know, the game itself. But anyway, on to the next guy on the list, who is the dude who will try to shame you for not wanting to get high. You ever met a mofo like this? These dudes are kinda like the previous one, but one step worse, cause instead of accepting that maybe you have shit to do, they'll call you a lame-o or buzzkill or bitch ass shit licking, dick riding, butt munching, enjoying sneako watching soy boy. And for what? Not wanting to waste a day by doing nothing but watching The Simpsons and eating Twinkies? Like, mofos need to realize, although it is great to watch Simpsons and eat Twinkies all day, doing that for 2-3 days in a row, most dudes will feel straight up bad and sad. If you're a human being living in today's day and age, to succeed in anything, you can't be doing that consistently. It's gotta be a special occasion, celebration, or when you've already completed your goals for the day and deserve a break. But hey, at least they don't shame you for the thing this next guy shames you for. The dude who will make fun of you for smoking less than him. Now, this guy is a lot like the first dude, but with the added minus of he actually thinks for some odd reason that the fact that he has to smoke a whole damn cart to feel high is a flex. Like, sorry bro, but I know dudes who had the exact same mentality and let's just say they ain't end up so good. Like for example, this guy, who thought being high is a damn competitive ladder that needed to be climbed. You know, like the army, but instead of protecting your country and pursuing peace, it's all about who can smoke the most crack without dying. Like, imagine this same attitude, but instead of Zaza, they'd be doing this with nicotine. Mofo would be 45, working minimum wage in the back of a gas station with a young guy talking about,
what's that? You still puffing on one cig, boy? I'm puffing on 6 at a time, but don't worry, you'll get there someday.
I don't know if I wanna get there, man. Okay, that's never happened, but I'm just trying to show you how ridiculous this is. And PS, there's a lot more to life than getting high, and I'm definitely not out here being faded 24/7, cause if I was, you'd probably be seeing one video every 2 months. It's all about finding the balance and having the right reasons for inhaling the za.
Sunrock, the most powerful grass that humanity has ever conjured up, with even its less potent relative Moonrock being so extreme that
Moonrock is too
says
much,
it's
dog.
too much. And since I had once already traveled to the moon and made it back alive, barely, I saw it only fitting for me to conquer the sun as well. But unlike last time, where I was in Amsterdam with my brother and had the comfort of tweaking together, this time I was alone, nearly 6,000 miles away from home, in the city of Sin, Las Vegas, Nevada. The story kicks off a couple days after I had hit my first blinker and discovered a new realm of high. You know, kind of like Columbus when he discovered America, but unlike Columbus who annihilated the indigenous people, I was annihilating that Zaza, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, after seeing firsthand what the land of the free can offer in terms of getting obliterated beyond the realms of Mother Nature, I was quite intrigued. So, out of curiosity, I decided to Google strongest weed you can get in Las Vegas, just in case there was something more potent than moonrock, which up until this point, I thought was the pinnacle of bud. So after stumbling upon an article comparing the rocks from the moon and sun, I realized that in my ignorance, I had crowned a false king, and the only deserving punishment for a big smarty pants weed stickman YouTuber like myself was to feel the full wrath of the true strongest weed in the universe. I hopped on the local Las Vegas weed dispensary site in hopes of having it delivered to me like the Penjamin, but either due to current weather conditions or just the delivery man greening the fuck out, it said, "We are currently not providing deliveries." But for the time being, I had no other choice than to leave my apartment and go to the closest dispensary in hopes of them having this exotic nug in stock. Only problem was that it was night and well, your boy wasn't exactly staying at Caesar's Palace, so as I was preparing to go outside in the dark, where, mind you, I saw a guy walking around wearing a safety vest, rocking a handlebar mustache, and carrying a double-barrel shotgun the night before, I just had to take a quick rip from the bong to make it a high story, you know?
Okay, 2 miles that way. Wish I had a car. Guess I'll just run. Fucking bullshit.
A few minutes later.
Hello, sir? Oh yeah, hello. You guys have something called sunrock? It's like, nope. Just sold the last stock. Those guys bought it. We got moonrock, though. No, I've already done that. You know where I can get some sunrocks, though? Yeah, the store a mile from here should have some left. Okay, yeah, thank you.
A few minutes later.
Sorry, I gotta see your passport first, bruh.
No, but this is like my government-issued ID, can you...
Look, I'm sorry. We have a lot of people visiting from banana republics these days, and we can't start selling to everybody with a rinky-dinky, this is a real country, Google it, ID card. Come back with a passport and I'll hook you up.
I'm not from Banana Republic. We made Skype.
Hello there.
Yes, I had to now walk back 3 miles, get my passport, walk another 3 to get the sunrock, and then walk another 3 back home. And mind you, I had already ran 3 miles too. So you know, of course, cause your boy fast as ball, quick as an electrical jolt, I got an Uber back home. But now I was fresh again, so of course I put on my Space Jams and I got an Uber. But then when I was there and showed my passport, received my $80 weed, I was not trying to get robbed on the walkway filled with homeless camps in Las Vegas fiends, so I got an Uber. Finally, after wasting a week's transportation budget in 40 minutes, I was back in my apartment, sunrock in hand and rolling papers in my pockets. And yes, unlike last time with the moonrock, I wasn't about to smack that shit from my bong and get assimilated. Cause from the blinker I had done a couple days back, I learned my lesson about concentrate. Do not underestimate it. So I rolled me up a Slimmy Slimmer, basically a very small J. And something you might not know is that with these caviar nugs like sunrock, you're not really supposed to grind them with a regular grinder, so I just used my fingers to break the nug apart, and because of that, well, let's just say the airflow on this J was god awful. Later on I would find out you're not supposed to smoke sunrock from a J at all, but hey, you live and you learn. Anyway, I went to my patio and attempted to light this abomination, and I mean, it really was. Imagine taking some A4 Wagyu steak and serving it in a dirty bucket, but alas, I still... The first puff, yes, the goddamn first puff got me drafted in a galactic war against the Matrix. And I think that had to do with the fact that Jay only had like 3 puffs in it, cause I was basically just smoking straight nugs. But I decided for the legacy of CBD bro, I shall do another puff. The French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, the moon landing, the splitting of the atom, the theory of relativity. It all flashed before my eyes because I now saw the world from an interstellar position. And I would love to say I now went on some grand adventure and discovered the Holy Grail with some Las Vegas crackheads, but this was different. The high was spent glued to my couch, wondering the meaning of the universe and how I had traveled 6,000 miles across the ocean and was now sitting on a couch in some random Airbnb completely and utterly blasted beyond human understanding. After about 15 minutes of doing literally nothing but staring at my wall, I decided to watch some YouTube and found this guy called Oversimplified who makes these historical animation videos and spent a good portion of my high learning about the history of our world. Too bad I don't remember a goddamn thing, but at the time I felt like I was really becoming a damn scholar. I guess the lessons and memories of that high are waiting for me once I return to the land of the sun.
Where am I?
Man, I told you not to smoke that sunrock. You stuck on the sun now, fool, with the rest of us.
No! Oh, no, wait, that was just a dream. Damn, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, bro. You were in a hell of a kush coma.
Yeah, I guess I was. Wait! Bro, I got stuck in a kush coma, my dudes. Shit was crazy, and I don't actually remember the exact dreams I saw, but they were pretty trippy, and it was one of those inception things that had me waking up from a dream into another dream, son. Safe to say, I had gotten assimilated. But it was kind of nice, because it was a real clear high without anxiety, which usually when you get that obliterated, it always comes accompanied with just a little bit of anxiety at least. So, are sun rocks stronger than moon rocks? Yes, but the main thing I took from this high was that they also kinda better, but I mean, I've only done both once, so once I return to the US, I'll give them both another try and make a conclusion then. The 5 levels of being high. Now, I bet you've seen a couple videos on this topic, maybe even mine, but since almost a year has passed and my knowledge and understanding of the magic green plant has grown tremendously, I thought it's about time to make the ultimate, definitive, most precise levels of high tier list on planet Earth. And to make it even more fun, for every level, I'ma be getting more high to give an accurate representation of what the level feels and sounds like. So let's get it started with level 1. Microdosed. This is the level where you don't really feel anything per se, but you can tell something is different. You have a slight mood boost and your body might feel a bit more elevated. So like if your legs were sore, they're probably even more sore now, but if you're lying on your bed, well, its comfortability is probably up about by 10 to 15%. Nothing crazy, but it is noticeable. This, however, isn't enough to give you the giggles, so that Amy Schumer comedy special will still leave you wondering if my vagina is actually comedy or just poorly done slapstick humor. And since I'm currently at this level, I can tell you it also has no negative side effects, so I can still do everything without worrying if I'm too high. Anyway, let's move on to the first exciting level, and that is level 2. I'm feeling it. So you're feeling it, eh? Well, me too. This is the level where that Amy Schumer special might actually forcefully steal a giggle or two from you, but not because it's actually funny, it's more like you're laughing at her rather than with her. Anyway, since you're now feeling it, you also might be feeling that movie a bit more, or that video game. Shit, you might be feeling your own jokes a bit more. Got you laughing at your own thoughts, fool. This is also the optimal high if you still got stuff to do. Well, to be honest, if you got stuff to do, probably better to not be high, but at this level, it's still definitely doable, just a bit more difficult. Another way to look at it is, this is the high the workers at Subway are usually on, although I have seen mofos way beyond this there too, but for the most part, this is optimal cause the loud hasn't got you moving slow-mo quite yet. As for me, I'm still able to read this script and pronounce my words just fine, so you probably can't even tell I'm high right now. But now it's time to get to the first level where a mofo can feel too high if he's not experienced. Level 3. Yeah, I'm pretty high. So here we are, pretty high. This is the point where, at least for me, doing anything besides leisurely activities is hard. Not impossible, nor undoable, but hard. If we take that Amy Schumer comedy special for reference again, as for some reason I like doing, it might just maybe have become funny, but you also realize you just high, so you turn it off and watch something else. Also, this is the first level where some thoughts might have become uncontrollable in the senses you just can't help but dive deeper into the fact that the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was almost 6 1,600 times less powerful than the Tsar bomb created and detonated by the Soviets in 1961 as a show of power to the US. But then you find out there's something called an antimatter bomb, which could be even more destructive, but it's only a theory. But then maybe the US is developing it in Area 51 or something. Yeah, I think you get the point. But there is one sensation that is more powerful than your random thoughts, and that of course is the munchies. Coupled with the fact you're probably rocking some dry mouth right now, this in my opinion is the best level to be at if you're trying to stuff your face with enough trans fats to feed 50 hungry children. But you know, you already ate it also. Anyway, moving on to level 4. Faded beyond belief. This is the point where if you're not in a safe space, you kinda screwed. Well, not always, but at this level, it's become almost impossible to practice rational thinking. I mean, if you were diving deeper into that nuclear bomb stuff at the previous level, then this is a point where you might start actually believing you are Oppenheimer himself. This stage is really not the best if you're looking to focus on a movie or video game or really anything because, well, your attention span is at the mercy of the Za, and to actually enjoy this high, you just gotta go with the flow. As for me, it's getting pretty hard to read the script. If I look at the words for long enough, they kinda look like some ancient Chinese hieroglyphs. But anyway, if you're an actual lunatic, maniac, psychopath, Zaza destroyer, and considering hitting that gravity one more time, then be prepared for level 5. Shadow Realm. I told you, bro, you gotta be a maniac to get to this level because the plane of existence you on now is so different from being non-high, you probably feeling and looking like a goddamn alien. I mean, bro, your eyes are so red and you feel so disconnected from your body that if you look in the mirror, you'll probably think, bro, is that really me? I'm so fucked up. Wait. Ah, shit, I'm in the Shadow Realm again, aren't I? And now that you realize you're in the Shadow Realm, you either stop the trip by going to sleep or level unknown, exploring the Shadow Realm. This level doesn't require smoking more. All it really requires you to do is just go outside and explore the world that in many ways has become the upside down from Stranger Things. Cause at this level, rational thinking has been completely thrown out the window and your brain has reverted to factory settings as of when you were just born. So if you see a streetlight flickering, for example, if you were normal, you just think, they really should fix that. Compared to now, oh shit, bro, this is totally one of those slasher scenes where once I walk over the streetlight, he's gonna shift me up, isn't he? Nah, man, fuck this, I'm out of here. At least, I don't know, that's how it feels to me when I achieve the pinnacle of high and am wandering the world outside. You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get high discreetly, sorry bro, there was no way. I mean, you got the J, which stanks up everything. You got the bong, which although doesn't stank as much, where you gonna hide it? Imagine trying to sneak by your parents on some... What you doing dropping shit at a time like this, boy? Downstairs, I came down, I wanted a glass of water, yeah. Boy, you must be neurologically disabled if you think that'll excuse you from breaking some dusty-ass dollar store piece and spilling bong water all over my goddamn living room. No, it's... Here, take a smack of this shit. It'll get you proper, boy. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun... Anyway, point is, you're not gonna be hiding that shit for long. Only real option you had was the pipe. But bro, at that point, you sacrificing everything you got for one high. Like, I swear, the pipe is the last way anybody in their right mind wants to get faded. Every time I hit it, it's like my lungs and throat revert back to factory settings. Like I ain't never inhaled anything besides O2 before. Basically, by smacking the pipe, you're hurting your lungs and throat to the point it kind of fucks up the first 30 minutes of your high. And that's exactly why when the first Penjamin was invented by the scientists at Yodiland, it changed the game, bruh. Never before could you get obliterated on the go regardless of where you were or what you were doing. And thanks to that, getting high has become so damn easy, you got motherfuckers making obliteration their normal state. Never before could someone do anything even remotely sus and you could just assume they were fucking high. My man had sunglasses on for no reason, faded. Dude was staring somewhere for a bit too long, obliterated. Dude went to White Castle for a culinary experience. Well, That motherfucker's just weird.
Goddamn cafeteria food.
And you can forget about gas stations and fast food places. I mean, at this point, it's like damn near mandatory to be blasted on the job. And I got nothing against that, just since 90% of the time I find myself at 7-Eleven, I'm fried too, and the motherfucker that's supposed to be helping me is trying to scan my items with his damn iPhone. Nah, but for real, the pace that these fried motherfuckers work at is fine when your brain is running at the same low frequency, but if you're in a rush, it'll take damn near every ounce of mental strength you got to stop yourself from forcing a damn self-checkout.
Would you like a bag with that, sir?
Fuck no, here's the money, just give me my shit. But don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old Penjamin. There really ain't a better on-the-go, fast and easy way to get faded. Unfortunately, I didn't go to college and kinda cheated my way through high school too, so the 15 or so brain cells I was able to develop that keep me from losing and forgetting shit turned into, well, basically zero. And for that reason, I've already lost 2 of them. One of them slipped out my pocket while I was at the movies, and I'm pretty sure some teenagers stole it, cause after the film, when I was looking for it with my flashlight and shit, these motherfuckers were giggling in the back, looking at me like I was a damn circus clown. Coupled with the fact I was fried as fuck, I was fighting my tears. Dog. I just got robbed by some damn teens and I can't even do shit cause it was illegal to even bring it in there. Second one I lost in a very similar manner. As I was getting out my Uber going back home, my sweatpants did me dirty and flinged that fucker out as I was standing up. Took me 2 minutes to realize, and when I did, my Uber driver was probably already hitting that shit cause when I called him back to ask for it, he said,
let me check. It seems that you only left me a $1 tip. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
And that one hurt the most because that was the first pen I ever had and the one I used for my first Penjamin adventure, which my first time was, well, by far the highest I have ever been in my life. I'm talking freaky, I'm talking third person. Shit, it was the first time in years I truly greened the fuck out. For you see, normal weed or bud is just that, normal. So the strength of it is confined in the realms of reality, unless you know it, it's moonrock. Anyway, the biggest difference between smacking a pen versus, let's say, a J is that the pen doesn't have normal bud in it. It has concentrate, which if you're unaware like I was, is about 10 to 20 times stronger than bud. Knowing that, the best way to get faded off the pen is by just taking small rips to avoid getting sent into the goddamn shadow realm. For example, the YouTuber Damien Luck 925 is very well known for taking multiple blinkers, which is the biggest hit you can take, outside in social situations, most notably in random classrooms, like it's nothing. So me being at my USA Airbnb alone in the confines of my living room, thought to myself, okay, so it looks like the basic hit I should do at least is 1 blinker, but probably more. Yet what was waiting for me on the other side of Blinker City was something I was not prepared for. Something unholy. The voices. I'll never forget the horrible things they were whispering. They made me almost delete my YouTube channel. Anyway, it started with me ordering a 1-gram pen off of Weed Amazon, and it arrived the very next day in a beat-up Cadillac with a delivery man who, from the looks of it, tests out every product he delivers just, you know, to make sure the quality is there. Yo, bro, you're here for the weed, right? You got the cash? Yeah, I ordered through your website, though. It should be paid for already. Yeah, I forgot I'd take online orders now, too. Anyway, here's the stuff, bro. I trust you. Hey, thanks, bro. Have a good one. You too, man. Hello, Mr. Bro. We got a delivery for you from Weed Amazon that should be arriving in an hour or so. Will you be home then?
Wait, didn't I just...
I'm a gorilla in a fucking scoop. Gonna pull up to the zoo.
Oh, I better get out of here.
So I went back to the crib, Penjamin in hand, and prepared myself to get faded. And obviously, I went for a blinker, my very first hit. But since I had never smacked a pen before, I inhaled it for about 4 seconds and stopped because it was so light on my throat, I thought it wasn't working, but it actually was. And from that 4-second puff, I was already quite bamboozled. But since I have this weird rule of every time I get new stuff, I break it in by doing a massive hit, I thought, well, fuck.
I was supposed to do a blinker.
And went for it again. I inhaled and inhaled for a good 8 to 10 seconds, but the thing just wouldn't fucking blink. It got to the point where there was tears coming from my eyes and my throat was begging me to stop, and it ended up like... I had made a grave mistake. I was so fucking high, I felt my soul leave my body. I was so high, I forgot I was even high. But it was just the beginning, because over the next 10 minutes, I just kept on getting more faded, and the demons in my head kept on getting louder and louder. But if you know me, I kinda refused to green out, so I just kept on doing random shit like reading the ingredients list off my bag of M&Ms, reading the comments on my videos.
Change that dark blue, do things has changed career, imagine helping another YouTuber.
Kill yourself! Was not doing good. I was keeping a strong facade, but inside there was a war going on. I was feeling like Naruto with the Nine Tails, only instead of an all-powerful destructive force talking to me, I was just really fucking high. Anyway, so yeah, I was grading out, which hadn't happened to me in years, and I concluded that because the voice of reason was completely being outspoken by the voice of tweaking. The good news is though, the hype from the Penjamin doesn't last too long, and in about 1 to 2 hours, I had started coming down, but at that point, I was already crawled up in my bed, scrolling endlessly on my phone, until I finally reached a state where I felt good enough to come out of emergency mode and order some food and ate myself into a food coma. So I learned, well, firstly, that motherfucker Fulcrum is actually insane, or his tolerance is just something else, bro, and that the Penjamin is best enjoyed in puffs of 3 to 5 seconds and not blinkers. Do you smoke? A question that has been asked frequently ever since the early 1900s, but unlike the early 1900s where that question was mostly targeted towards cigarettes, these days, depending on your age and location of course, it probably means, do you enjoy sparking up a doozy at 8 p.m. to either watch Family Guy or ponder the meaning of life? No in between. Which, although smoking anything is harmful for us, I do believe we are moving in the right direction, aka the direction of less addictive cancerous chemicals. But don't get me wrong, Zaza is not good nor never will be good for your physical health. Although one can make the argument for mental health, only problem being 90% of that stems from, I feel like it helps, or I'm happier when I'm high, which in no way confronts the root of the problem, but rather serves as a temporary solution. But who am I to tell you if you're smoking too much weed, bruh? You have to figure that out yourself, because every situation is different. What I can and will do in this video though, is outline every level of cannabis consumption, how they may affect your health and life, and give you a better understanding of when and how a semi-unhealthy controlled hobby can turn into a straight-up addiction, to hopefully educate the public about the most important thing when it comes to anything in life: moderation. So let's start off with level 1. A casual. The casual is someone who smokes up only on occasions and almost exclusively with friends or family. At this level, you might be sparking up once or twice a month when a homie invites you over to hang out. And the reality is, you don't even really care about the weed part so much as the hang out part. You understand that smoking isn't good for you, but you also know the person you chill with likes to do so. And who are you to tell your friend how he or she should live his life? This is truly a wonderful level to be at, as being high is always eventful and joyful. Unless, you green out. Anyway, I think this is obvious, but at this stage, you don't have your own bud, bong, or really anything related to the za, as your homie always just hooks you up. Which, unfortunately, most of us don't have a friend like that, or used to, but have since leveled up to the point that they're the ones hooking the homies up. But we all know free za always hits better. It's just one of those things. Level 2, the weekend smoker. The weekend smoker is someone who has evolved from only getting high for the sake of being on the same wavelength as the homie to someone who has grown to enjoy the effects of marijuana even alone. But don't get me wrong, you are still aware that smoking is not healthy, but you also know eating Ruffles is not healthy, doom scrolling is not healthy, yet you still do them from time to time. Getting high has become something you look forward to, but since you're not smoking up every night, it's usually always accompanied with some activity you have in mind, aka I can't wait for Friday so I can smoke up and play Minecraft. I'm excited for Saturday so I can smoke up and watch Dragon Ball Super. Something like that. At this level, you're also definitely not smoking up frequently enough to start worrying about the financial implications buying weed comes with. At most, you're getting an eighth once a week and rolling a couple J's, or maybe if your friend was generous, he'll give you his old bong.
Protected with your life.
Personally, this is the level I have tried to stay at, but well, it's kind of hard because at this point you have your own weed, and if you're doing something fun at night, it kind of tempts you to do it, well, high. And once you give into that temptation, you'll move up to level 3. The daily reward. You've come to really enjoy your weekend highs, so much so that you've decided, screw it, it's Tuesday, there'll be no hangover like with alcohol. Yeah, I'm a smoke up. I would consider this level the last one where you can still say you are not addicted, just really enjoy hanging around while high. The only problem being, weed has become an integral part of your routine, which has removed some of the wonder that accompanied it in the previous levels. As before, being faded got you moving extremely irregular, but since irregular depends on your perspective of regular and you're pretty regularly high, your actions while under the influence, although still fun, don't make you feel that, oh shit. Where I'm going with this is that before the idea of doing your daytime activities while high seems scary, now they kind of seem like they might be a bit more fun instead. Also, you now know about strains, hybrid, indica, sativa. All these terms mean something to you. You might even have multiple strains at the crib, and depending on your nighttime mood and plan, you'll indulge in the one that suits you best. Whether you're looking to unwind after a long day or energize for a night out, there's a perfect strain to match every occasion. But don't get me wrong, you're still using the ZA as a sort of reward for a hard day's work to relax and chill, so you still have self-control, which, well, kind of starts fading on level 4. Gee, why not? Why not, you think? I ain't really got nothing much to do anyway, I'll just do a quick rip and make it more enjoyable. Getting high during the day can be a slippery slope, cause once you do, you'll realize that, wow, this is kind of fun. And so you might start dedicating your sativa stash to your daytime adventures, but there is a catch. A rather steep price you must pay when you reach this level. Because you are now high during the day, smoking up at night loses that reward factor it used to have. You're slowly getting to the point where the feeling of normality is being faded, and due to that, getting high at the end of your day is just standard procedure, not your special fun time, if you get what I'm saying. Another huge difference that comes at this level is of course your tolerance, which has gone way up along with your money spent on weed. And to counteract those, you have had to start buying in bulk. So instead of eighths, you now have ounces. But holding so much bud is a double-edged sword, as having over an ounce available at any given time also messes with your sense of how much you're actually smoking. Whereas one full bowl of bud taken from a grinded eighth visibly decreases the amount you have left, a full bowl taken from a grinded ounce seems like nothing. Which all of these things compound, kind of like the stock market. You're taking bigger and bigger hits each day, which most people would start to realize that at this point, it's kind of hard to label your Zaza destruction as a controlled hobby when you're not just high during your night goblin time, but also your daytime, and start lowering your consumption. But if you are not most people and still believe that you are in control, you'll move on to level 5. Zaza Fiend. A cigarette smoker can smoke a pack a day, which is not so good for your lungs. A Zaza Fiend can smoke 5 to 10 J's a day, which is also not so good for your lungs. Whereas before, you could point to that cigarette smoker and say, "You smoke the same amount in a day that I do in a month. We are not the same." Now you point at him and he points right back, which kinda sucks, not gonna lie. Being high has completely lost its wonder. It's more a monthly subscription to live your life normally and be in an alright mood now. You'll start to notice you got a bit of a cough. You got some stuck at the back of your throat pretty often, and you also can't remember what you did 2 days ago and beyond. Oh no, I was high as balls, you say jokingly, holding back your tears, because the reality is you weren't high as balls. You smoked a lot of weed, yes, but you weren't all that high, just normal high. Although you can't really get physically addicted to weed, you absolutely can mentally. I can quit at any time, you might think, and you could maybe, but oh boy, it will not be easy. Wanna play a game? Gotta get high. Wanna watch a movie? Gotta get high. Need to go to the store? Might as well get high. Everything is done high. Your lungs have not gotten a break to cleanse themselves, and your brain has not gotten a break either. In fact, it has gotten so used to being high, it feels pretty shitty without it. We could talk about your tolerance, but well, you probably know where that's at, on that maxed out endgame plus level. Personally, I've only ever gotten this far once, back when I was in high school and it was summer break, because I learned pretty quick that, well, it's by far the worst level to be at. You're smoking an insane amount, sometimes even back-to-back bong rips, but the feeling you get from it is not even that fun. On top of that, you're spending an unholy amount of money on bud. I mean, it's gotten so bad, your monthly Zaza costs might literally exceed your grocery budget. Got you setting aside half your paycheck just so you can feel okay. Might be time for a tea break, don't you think? All these levels are supposed to just give you a reference to where you're at, and the reality is you'll probably be bouncing around them, not stick to one forever. I usually try to keep my consumption on level 2 or 3, but that doesn't mean I don't dabble with the 4th level from time to time when, like, I don't know, a new Monster Hunter game comes out and I want to fully immerse myself in its world by getting an ounce of Zaza, locking myself in my gaming dungeon and going into goblin mode for a week. Just whatever you do, don't ever get to the last level. There's literally nothing positive about that place. Key takeaway, moderation is your best friend.
I think we've all been to a carnival at least once in our lives. They are usually very, well, fun is the wrong word to describe it. I'd say interesting, I guess. So when my main man Salamander hit me up a couple years back and was like, "Hey yo bro, have you been to the town square? It's that time of year again." What time of year? New Year's a ways away, bruh. Nah, bruh, even better. What could be better than New Year's Eve? Bro, the carnival. The carnival? Yeah, man, the carnival. That's kinda gay, bruh. Man, shut up, fool. You just mad cause you ain't got no hoes. You ain't got no hoes either, man. What about that girl at the party last week? Bro, you were so wasted you ain't even remember that it was the host's mom trying to escort you out. Fool. Okay, whatever, man. You wanna come or not? Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass. Shit's a waste of money and I'm dead broke. We can get high before at my place, you know. Shit, why you ain't say that before? I'm in. I love the carnival. I've always loved the carnival, man. Salamander had kind of a funky home situation, so a lot of times he had a completely free house, which meant that getting high there was always awesome, cause there was just so much to do in that big ass house. Anyway, I pull up to his place, and if you saw my last video, you know that this man rolls the most perfect spliffs in existence, and this time was no different. Bam! Whips that big old thing out. No homo. And we puff that ganja stick till it's a stinger. Honestly, we probably smoked half the filter too, cause in high school, weed was so valuable that even when you could clearly tell there ain't no Zaza left, someone was always like, "Hey yo bro, what you doing? There's a good 2 to 3 puffs left in that thing. I'ma hand bong it." All you, bro. All you. Anyway, we get zoinked and I'm honestly feeling good. Like I ain't smoked too much nor too little, but just right. For now. We start walking to the carnival and I'm starting to get more high. But I know that's just cause I ain't laying on the couch eating Oreos no more and I'm actually outside embarking on a quest with my guide Salamander. So we get to the carnival and man, this place ain't what it used to be. I guess that's probably cause all of the animal right movements and stuff, but it looks like a retirement home for washed up circus clowns. Speaking of clowns, there was obviously also a circus show that was gonna be happening soon, so we went ahead and bought some cotton candy and popcorn and sat down waiting for it to start. Hey, it's starting bro, check it out, this finna be fire. And the way mans was hyping it up, I couldn't help but get a little excited too, cause after all, I do have some great memories of circus shows from when I was a kid, and as we all know, there ain't no better combo than Kush and nostalgia. Except for maybe Kush and Twinkies. Anyway, they start announcing the show. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have all been waiting for, the tamer of lions, the conqueror of the jungle, the one and only, Magistro! Bruh, who the fuck is that guy? Man looks like Joe Biden's less successful brother. Shit, man, you right. I might have overhyped the carnival a bit, I guess. You wanna leave? Nah, bro, it's alright. This finna be funny as hell. Maybe I'll even do a flip. Now, there are 2 ways something can be entertaining. Either it's well thought out and executed, or it's a complete disaster and so bad that it's good. And this carnival show was the latter. We were sat there laughing like maniacs from how much they hyped this man Magistro up on everything he did and how anticlimactic it all turned out to be. Even though it did hurt to watch my childhood memories of lions jumping through fire hoops and acrobats doing quadruple backflips whilst riding on a horse destroyed by the one and only Magistro, it was still funny as fuck.